welcome to Ariel Helwani's MMA Show!
Back in your life on this Monday, July 15, 2019. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. Welcome back to the show. Hope you had a lovely weekend. What an interesting one it was in the world of mixed martial arts. 4 of the top promotions all had events. Usually, I hate this sort of thing, but this particular weekend was great because none of them were happening at the same time. Very rare does that happen. We had PFL Thursday night. We had one championship Friday morning. We had Bellator Friday night. And then, of course, UFC this past Saturday in Sacramento. And that was the big story. Urijah Faber coming back. First time fighting in around 2.5 years. And yes, I will say right now, mea culpa. I will say I didn't like this fight. I was critical of this fight. It's not that I thought Urijah would get smoked by Ricky Simone. It's not that I thought he couldn't hang. It's not even that I thought he couldn't win the fight. I just didn't think the fight made sense on 2 fronts. On the front that, you know, if you're having Faber come back in Sacramento, might as well just give him like a really gimme fight. And by the way, the odds makers agreed with me because he was a plus 325 going into the fight. And also, Simone, I mean, in this particular regard, if you have Faber beat him, you have a situation where it's like, oh, everyone expected you to beat this guy because he's not a household name. He's really good, but he's not a household name. Well, in the end, guess what happened? Urijah Faber wins in 46 seconds. He wins via TKO. It was like the old WEC days. It's like we turned back the clock. It was magical. That was the fastest finish of his career, of his illustrious career. Amazing. All of a sudden, the guy is like 25 all over again. A beautiful moment. Great win for him. Now he's going back and forth with Henry Cejudo, and that's fun, and we can talk about that later. By the way, I gave you all my thoughts about all of this on ESPN.com right now. You can check those out if you're interested. But that was of note, and it warmed my heart. I will admit I have a soft spot in my heart for Faber. I think we all do. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great guy. He's always been great to the media, and it was just really cool to see him get that moment in Sacramento. And then we had the main event, Germaine de Randamie defeating Aspen Ladd in 16 seconds, tied for the second fastest finish in women's bantamweight history. And this was unfortunate on 2 fronts, in my opinion. Number one, it was controversial. It was an early stoppage, in my opinion. I think Herb Dean is one of the best, but I think he's had a pretty bad run as of late. And I think referees are like fighters. And I think sometimes confidence comes into play. And I think his confidence isn't great right now. And I think he jumped in a little too soon. Now, did he jump in because of how bad Aspen looked on the scale on Friday? We'll never know. Did Aspen Ladd take that punch as poorly as she did because of how she looked on the scale? We'll never know. But what's unfortunate about it is it was premature, but even if it was premature, it took away from Germaine's moment. And Germaine needs a moment like that. She needed a moment like that. She needs more moments like that in order to help people forget about her 2017. Remember when she beat Holly Holm controversially. Remember when she vacated the title instead of fighting Chris Cyborg. She needs to get back in the people's good graces, and I don't think she got that opportunity because of the controversy. And it's unfortunate because that was a great punch. And she deserves a lot of praise for doing that to Aspen Ladd, who was undefeated going into that fight. I hope Ladd reassesses things. I hope we see her test the waters at 145. It's very shallow. She could be a top contender there. That scene on the scale was just really scary, and it was disturbing to watch. And I know she's been going through some personal things. I know her grandfather just passed away, and it's tough to watch a fighter go through that and then have to fight. And I know the California State Athletic Commission is one of the best in the sport, and I know that they did everything that they could to determine whether or not she was fit to fight, and they did determine that. They checked her out Friday afternoon. They checked her out Friday night. They checked her out Saturday afternoon. It's just scary to watch, and then she takes a punch like that and goes down. You can't help but think, was there a correlation? So anyway, those are the big talking points. There's plenty more to discuss. We will discuss it throughout the show. Great night for Team Alpha Male. I believe they went 4-2 overall. And then, of course, the UFC is back this weekend in San Antonio with a great card headlined by Leon Edwards versus Rafael dos Anjos. So let me run down today's lineup, and then we'll get to our first guest of the day. I'm very excited to talk to this man because he had a great night on Saturday as well. Greg Hardy joins us at 4 o'clock. He returns against Juan Adams this Saturday. That should be interesting because Juan has been poking him for even longer than this fight was announced. He's been poking at him for over a year, so I'm curious to see how Hardy deals with all of that. Valentina Shevchenko returns to action on August 10th. We spoke to Liz Carmouche, her opponent, recently. We'll get her take on things. And We'll talk to her at around 2:45. Urijah Faber will join us at 2:25. That should be a lot of fun. And I will offer my mea culpa. And we'll talk to him about what's next in that great moment in Sacramento. Julianna Pena returned for the first time in 2.5 years. She's a mom now. She won against Nico Montagna. That was great. And a typical Pena fight. Kind of dirty, kind of sluggish at times, but she did what she had to do. Now 5-1 in the UFC. Germaine de Randamie will join us at around 2:45. I'm looking forward to that. Tito Ortiz is back in the news. He is going to fight Alberto Del Rio. Yes, Dos Caras Jr. I gave you my thoughts on that last week on Iron on the Bad Guy. We'll talk to him at 2:25. Scott Coker will join us with some news to break at 2:05, so that should be fun. The aforementioned Alex Hernandez is going to join us at 1:45. And we'll talk to him about his upcoming fight against Francisco Trinaldo. Ryan Hall had a great win on Saturday. We'll talk to him about that performance in Sacramento and why people still can't seem to appreciate who he is and what he does in there. He's undefeated in his last, I think, 8 fights, undefeated in the UFC, first man to submit, BJ Penn, all that and more. We'll talk to him about all of that. And in a matter of moments, I think we are trying to connect with one Andre Fili, who had a great performance. Let me see what Corporate Jake is saying here. Okay, reconnecting. Andre Fili, obviously a member of Team Alpha Male, one of the rising stars there, has looked good as of late. Had a great win on Saturday over Shevchenko Morais. A very passionate win. There was a lot of emotion involved. Jumped over the cage. Looked very good in that performance. In fact, he had a great short interview with UFC News after the fight, where he talked about his father, who's been in jail for the last 17 years and was granted parole to come see his son compete in the UFC for the first time. And so to perform like that in front of his dad is pretty incredible. So I'm looking forward to talking to Andre Fili whenever we are able to connect with him. I kind of went through the lineup very quickly there, and I'm not even sure if I gave you the right times, but you get the picture at this point. I'm very much looking forward to talking to Ryan Hall because Ryan Hall, like I don't understand how people still don't appreciate Ryan Hall. He's so different. He's so unique. But his style is fun. Like, he's not just going in there and laying and praying. He's got a different style. Not everyone is Jorge Masvidal, and not everyone is Francis Ngannou. How do you not see beauty in what Ryan Hall does? And by the way, he's going for, unorthodox submissions. He's not very, I don't think he's conservative at all. I just think he's fun. I think every promotion needs a Ryan Hall. So I'm looking forward to catching up with him later. And I'm curious to hear what Mr. Scott Coker has to say about some upcoming news. Bellator had an event on Friday as well. Julia Budd was victorious. Another fighter who somewhat flies under the radar. I would argue she's maybe the second or third best women's featherweight in the world, and she's the Bellator women's featherweight champion. She only has 2 losses on her resume. One to Ronda Rousey in her first year, and then also to Amanda Nunes, also in her first year. She's a fighter who's come a very long way, and she looked great in that main event on Friday in Thackerville. So perhaps we'll talk to Scott Coker about her as well. But for now, let us not waste any more time and say hello to the man who was victorious on Saturday against Shevchenko Morais, my old pal, Andre Fili. It's been a while, Andre. How are you, my man?
I lost my voice a little bit, so I'm gonna do my best here for you. I'm wondering why it's been so long that I've been on the show. My feelings are a little hurt.
Oh my, okay. Well, I'm sorry about that. You should feel bad about that, and you should give me crap about that. But let's turn the page here. It's a great time to be Andre Fili, and I'm happy to have you back. By the way, why did you lose your voice? What were you doing?
I was yelling for my friends all night. They kept winning fights, so I kept jumping around and yelling.
It's really just from the fights itself, not from like the post-fight celebrations?
Well, there was post-fight celebrations for my fight. There was a lot of yelling, and then there was a lot of yelling during my friends' fights, and there was a lot of yelling at the after party.
Okay.
And there was a lot of and then there was a lot of yelling at the after party after the party.
Yes.
And then there was a lot of yelling yesterday at the barbecue, which was the real after party with all my close friends and family. So now it's Monday, and this is where I'm at.
Well, I'm impressed. It's like 10 o'clock over there in Sacramento. I'm happy that you're up and able to do this after all that celebrating, because you guys certainly had a lot to celebrate. Would you say thus far in your career, your very young career, was that the best weekend thus far?
Yeah, this might have been the best weekend of my life, man. Obviously, it feels good to win. It feels good to finish. It feels good to get a knockout, especially in my hometown in this brand new arena that the city built. But it also it obviously feels good to win. But man, then to see a guy like Josh Emmett, who's a good friend of mine, teammate, brother in arms, see his ups and downs, and have him come into a fight where, he had so much. As much as I had on the line, as much as it meant to me, it also meant to him, and it also meant to Faber. To see these guys that I got a lot of love for, that I train with, that I look up to, that I see their struggles in and out of every day. Like, people don't understand how much it takes just to get to the fight. Like, people think fighting's tough. Man, you should see what it takes just to get to the fight. And so then to see all that hard work pay off for these dudes who I got a lot of love for, and to kind of have this energy in the room, and to have Sacramento, everybody just to get this reason to celebrate, man, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, man. I'm so thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, one of those nights that I'm sure the team will always remember, and it was great to see, one guy after the next come up, and for the most part, all of you did great. And that was your first finish since November of 2015. Does it feel a little different for you? Like, you get that release, you get that moment, you're able to jump out of the cage and celebrate. It feels like it's been a while since we saw you in that kind of light.
Yeah, I've always thought of myself as a finisher. It's weird to think that I haven't finished one since November 15. Now I got to go back and check. I'm sure you're right, but I always think of myself as a finisher. Every fight I've ever been in is exciting. Like, I've never been in a boring fight, win or lose. And yeah, fighting is chaos. So you always want that finish. You always want the finish, but sometimes it doesn't come. When it does, it feels it's the best feeling in the world, man. When you finish, when you get that knockout, there's nothing like it, man. There's nothing like getting that knockout, especially in the UFC at the highest level. I think for a while, I've really made a lot of improvements in my stand-up over the past couple of years, in my game in general. Like, I've made a lot of improvements in my game, and I used to be real reckless. And then I started being a little more reserved and really focusing on my technique and really sharpening things. And now I feel like I found the balance where I'm sharp, I'm cold, I'm calculated. My fight instincts, my fight IQ, they're all super high now. I feel sharp, I feel crisp, but I'm also the same kid I was when I was 19, 21 years old, just trying to get in a violent fist fight, So I feel like I've really found that balance.
I saw afterwards, I think you were talking to the local ABC affiliate, where you said, leading up to this fight for the past couple of months, you were telling everyone it would end that way. You envisioned this. Why 100%. Is that? And is that typical for you?
Man, I just feel like I've hit this new level, man. Like, I've been fighting since I can remember. Like, I turned pro at 18 or 19. I was training by 14 or 15. Like, all I've ever wanted to do is fight, man. Like, all I've ever wanted to do is fight. But for a long time, I focused on the physical side of things, which is obviously important. Like, we're fist fighting, it's physical, but there's also a huge mental aspect of fighting, and there's also a spiritual aspect of fighting. And I feel like I neglected those parts for a long time. And now I do mental coaching. I do obviously my physical training, and I also do things for my spirit. Like, I feel, I don't want to get too hippie or too out there,
go
but
ahead.
I feel like
get hippie.
I feel like for a long time my spirit was kind of sick, man, and now I feel like as hard as I'm training physically, I'm also doing things for my mental state. I'm doing things for my spirit, for my soul, man. Like, I feel like I feel mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, just everything, man. I feel the best I've ever felt. I just turned 29 and I feel better than I've ever felt, man. And I feel like I'm right at that perfect spot where I've been doing this long enough where I have a real wealth of experience, but I'm still young enough to where, like, I'm growing every day. I'm getting better still. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. I'm very thankful for where I'm at, and I'm thankful for the people who put up with me and helped me get to where I'm at. And man, more good things are coming.
Could you tell us why you felt your spirit was sick and how you were able to turn that around?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to blame it on anything else. I don't want to blame it, it's hard to pin it down. I think it's just there's probably a lot of factors, man. The way I grew up, the shit you see growing up, just the things you hold on to, and my motivation is probably different for this than other people. Like I think a lot of fighters, they look themselves in the mirror and they go, "I'm the greatest thing ever," and they really love themselves and they really enjoy looking at themselves and they enjoy. There's just a certain kind of guy. It takes a certain kind of personality to fight, and with that, there's a lot of guys who really are big fans of themselves. For me, for a long time, I don't like what I see in the mirror. Like I don't really like myself much, And like when I was young, fighting was this thing where it was like, it was almost as much about self-destruction as it was self-improvement. It was like, yeah, I love winning. I love making money, but I like to fight. I like the chaos. I like the violence. I like these things. And so it was almost sort of this negative mindset where it's like, there was just a lot of negativity and anger and all these things. And now I'm still angry. I still want to go fight. I still like getting in fist fights, but I enjoy it. Like I embrace this chaos, and it's a beautiful thing. Like I get to provide for the people around me, and I get to do what I love every day. It's like, it's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing, man. Like, I feel like I found that balance. I found the balance of like, you can be angry, you can fight, you can get in fist fights every day, but then you can still be appreciative and positive, and you can still love the people around you, and you can still enjoy your life, And that's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm like in the eye of that storm, like all this chaos, all this fighting, all this intensity that comes with fighting, and I'm right in the eye of the storm, nice and calm and controlled and enjoying it.
So I saw this clip after the fight where you spoke to UFC News and you were talking to them about your father. I not heard this story before. You have not seen your dad prior to Saturday in 17 years. Your father is currently in jail. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I actually,
Could you tell us the story?
Yeah, I mean, you basically got it. I saw my dad when I was 12 years old. I saw him for about 2 hours when I was 23 years old, and I didn't see him again until today, and I'm 29 years old. So I've seen my dad once since I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And I'm a 29-year-old man, and he just got out of prison, and his parole agent was cool enough to say, he told his parole agent that his kid was fighting, and his parole agent said, "All right, cool, you got 3 days." So he flew in Friday, he watched my fight Saturday, and he left early Sunday. He flew in late Friday, watched my fight Saturday, and flew out early Sunday. And so the first time I had seen my dad, basically the first real time I got to like see my dad, and since I was a 12-year-old kid, was at dinner right before my fight, the night before my fight. So. Yeah, it was a weird. It was just like a lot of emotion and weird. It's like, yeah, life is crazy, brother. Yeah, it was a trip, man. But like I said, like I might have handled the situation different a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago. Pick a time, like it might have been different. But I'm just in this place now. I'm on this wavelength now where it's just like, it's all just good things, man. Like the universe provides, and you just take it as it comes, and I'm just appreciative of it, Like I'm just appreciative of it.
When did your dad get out of jail?
It's like 3 months ago.
Okay, and
maybe 4 or 5 months ago, actually.
Do you mind if I ask why he was there?
Nah, I can't really speak on that.
Okay, fair enough. Did you know he was coming?
Not till like a couple weeks before the fight. Yeah.
Wow.
I know he was working.
And did he tell you why he wanted to come? Was this just his first opportunity? That's why this was the chance for him.
I think it was just his first chance. Just
wow.
his just the first chance to kick it. Yeah.
Did you feel like in the hours leading up to the fight, were you thinking about him a lot? As a kid, you always want to do well in front of your parents. This one, obviously, much different circumstance. Did you feel like I got to go in there and impress my dad?
Not going to impress my dad, but just sort of it's just another name on the list of people that you want to give that moment to, where you win the fight. It's not just you winning the fight. It's everyone in the arena. Like last night, it was all of Sacramento. When I hopped over that fence, it was like we all just won. We all just landed that kick. We all just landed that short right uppercut. We all just landed that ground and pound. We all get to celebrate together. This whole arena, and so for him being there was definitely a plus, like, and the way I grew up, the kind of guy that he is, like, you're not going to beat my ass in front of my dad or my little sisters or my friends I grew up with, scrapping and scrounging and trying to survive. Like, my friends, we basically raised each other, wasn't a hell of a lot of adult supervision growing up, so my friends, we basically raised each other, so it's like my friends are there, my dad's there, my mom's there, my little sisters are there. Like, I got to win this fight, man. Like, I got to make my people proud, and yeah, I made my people proud.
What did he say to you after the fight?
He just gave me a hug. He told me he loved me. As you can imagine, he's not like an overly emotional or yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a lot of words, and there didn't really need to be. It was just, I gave him a hug, man. I gave my dad a hug. He told me he loved me, and told him I loved him, and we got to sort of share that moment where we all got to win together, and it was cool, like, it was the biggest thing, the biggest trip. Like, when my parents met, they were just kids in high school. Like I'm 10 years older than my parents were when they had me. You know what I'm saying? Like, my parents were kids, man. And so, like, as I grew up, my mom was almost like finishing growing up, like my mom was like almost a kid at one point when I was a kid, like, I remember my mom being very young. Like, I remember my mom and dad both being very young. Like, I have memories of my parents being way younger than I actually am right now. Sorry, it's super loud out here.
No problem.
I have memories of my parents being younger than I am right now, and so then to see both of my parents today at like 47 years old, and they're sitting together enjoying a fight, like, with my little sisters. It's a weird, cool, crazy thing, like to see my parents who met at like a continuation high school and they were a decade younger than I am right now, and for them to be middle-aged people with my two little sisters watching the fight is just like it's just weird, man. It's cool. It's weird. It's funny. It's like, it's yeah. The whole experience was rad, man, and it was in Sacramento, so it makes it better.
Are you hopeful that you will have a relationship with your dad now that he's out?
Yeah, I mean, we text and we talk a little bit. Like, I feel like when you're raised, when you grow up the way I grew up, when you grow up the way I grew up, and you sorry, it's hella loud out here. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
It'll pass. Storm will pass. I'm sure all your listeners are pissed right now.
What is that? Is that a garbage truck or something?
That's a garbage truck, and the timing was perfect.
Oh yeah. Could you tell them we're on the air? I mean, really? How rude.
They don't. Yeah.
I know. I don't care. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So I mean, when you grow up the way I grew up, like, you have a relationship with your parents that's almost more like, my mom is my mom, my dad's my dad, but at this point, my mom's sort of become like one of my best friends. Like, you have a relationship where, like, she's still young, my mom's still young, and the relationship is just different when you're raised by young parents. When you're raised in a broken home, when you're raised the way I grew up, like, the shit that we went through when we were young, like, the relationship is different. So with my dad, we're cool. Like, we're cool. Like, seeing him do good makes me happy, and I want him to continue to do well, and I would like to see him again, and it was cool that we got to share that moment together, and yeah, it's all good things. But the relationship is different when you grew up the way I grew up. It's like, Pops is more like a homie, and my mom is one of my best friends. And yeah, it's a funny thing.
I bet. Well, I can't imagine what was going through your mind. And then, of course, your mentor, the leader of the team, Faber, comes back in Sacramento and wins like that. Where were you when he did that, and how did you react to that victory?
I was in the green room with my girlfriend and Benito Lopez, my little bro, who just won on the same card, and a couple other people, man, and we were just going wild. We were going ape shit, man. Can I say shit?
Yeah,
sure, I can't
go
say
ahead.
Shit.
No, okay. We'll bleep it out.
Yeah, it's a family show. Sorry. No, we were going crazy. Man, I love that guy, dude. How do you not love Urijah Faber? I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that don't, but that probably says more about you than it does about him. That guy raised us, dude, and Uriah invested in me when there really wasn't much worth investing in, and dude, to see him get that win, and especially the way he got that win against a tough kid, against an undefeated prospect, against an up and comer that is trying to make his name off of him. It just boom, there it is, the Khalil dude, and yeah. I mean, it was incredible, dude. You couldn't write it better. If it was a movie, you couldn't write it better.
One thing that I've talked about in the past is I love how every opportunity he gets, Faber shouts you guys out. He did it in the cage after the fight. I remember he did it when he lost to Barao at 169. Yeah. He was talking about TJ. I saw him in Vegas cornering Song, and he's getting ready for his own fight. Like he always,
like the week before.
The week before. Yeah, it's insane. Is he like? What is he like when the cameras aren't on? Because we only know the public Urijah Faber. Is he the same way? Is he always taking time? Like you're preparing for your fight. Is he doing that same sort of thing as he's preparing for his own?
Yeah, he's the same guy. He's the same guy when the cameras aren't. I remember when I first started training with them and starting to really go out and, like first couple Vegas trips with the team or Ultimate Fighter or whatever, like we'd go out and we'd have somewhere to be. Like we'd be running late somewhere and Faber would stop every single person. He'd get swarmed. Every person who wanted a picture got a picture. Every person who wanted an autograph got an autograph. And it got to the point where other people had to pull him away because he was gonna give every fan that energy and the time that they wanted. Like he's the general, man. He loves the team. Like he really loves the team and he loves the people around him. And he has like a real understanding that I feel like has been passed on to us, and it's something that I try to remember and try to carry on, is that it's bigger than you. Like it's not really about you. Like it's bigger than you. Like it's about all of us. It's about the team. It's about the city. It's about creating something that lives on when you're gone, and that's the thing you look at. It all trickles down from him, man. Like you see this guy who started this team. Then you go into practice. You go into jiu-jitsu Monday night. You come into practice and you have Faber. You have all the first generation guys, and then you have all the second generation guys like me and No Love. They'll be in there. Chris Holdsworth, all those guys will be in there. And then you'll have the younger generation of guys, and then you'll have kids who wrestle in college or who wrestle at a Sacramento high school, and they'll come in to get rounds. And you'll have guys who wrestled in college with Faber, and they own businesses in Sacramento, and they'll bring their kids in to do the kids class in jiu-jitsu. And you have all this. It's this big extended family, man. It's like it's bigger. It's even bigger than fighting, man. It's bigger than Faber. It's bigger than any of us. It's bigger than fighting. It's something. It's a family. It's a dynasty. It's something special, dude. It's a beautiful thing, man. And it all comes from his attitude.
Do you want
if you want the best?
Go ahead.
Sorry, the best way. Long story short, the best way I could describe Faber. There was a situation where, there was another fighter, not from our team, but there was another fighter who was hanging around. There was this situation with a bunch of fighters, and a guy came in, and he wasn't a fighter, and so one of the guys didn't really treat him with a lot of respect. Turns out the guy that came in that wasn't a fighter was a sponsor and had a lot of money and was looking for fighters to sponsor, and he didn't sponsor the fighter who was a dickhead to him because he was a dickhead to him, And the other fighter goes, "Well, I didn't know that's the guy I was supposed to be cool to." Huh. And Faber was just like, "No, man." Faber stepped in and was like, "No, dude, like you're supposed to be cool to everybody. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's not about being cool to the sponsor. It's about being cool. You just be cool to everyone, and then everything works out." And that encapsulates Faber. It's like if you don't be cool to the guy who is going to sponsor you, you don't be cool to the guy that can help you out. Like you just be cool to everyone.
Do you want to see him fight Dillashaw?
I mean, I don't not want to see him fight Dillashaw. Okay. I want to see Urijah Faber do good. I want to see him get what he's owed. I want to see all my people do good. Make every ounce of every dollar they can make, every ounce of fame they can squeeze out of the game. I want all the good things to happen to my people, man. So, if that's the big fight, cool. If Henry's the big fight, that's cool. I would love to see Joseph and Henry again as well.
Yeah.
I want all my big brothers to do good, man. I hope all the opportunities come to them. That's all I got to say. I don't have any like personal thing where I'm like, I want to see this dude lose or this dude like, nah. Like I want Faber to do good. I want all my boys to do good.
And most
So
important,
if that's the big money fight, I hope so.
yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from, and I respect it greatly. I'm just curious, most importantly, did you have pizza Saturday night? And if so,
Dude,
yeah, crushed it?
crushed it.
Okay. What kind of toppings?
I'm a simple guy. I'm like a pepperoni black olive guy, like real simple.
Okay.
I ordered a couple $100 worth of pizza yesterday at my barbecue.
Wow.
It was going down.
All right. Well, I won't be offended that I wasn't invited because it's been a while since you've been on my show, but
yeah, I mean, if you start inviting me, I'll start inviting you.
I know. Okay, fair enough. All right, we're back. I'm so happy for you, man. Congratulations. That was a great moment. Well done. I'm happy you had that moment with your family as well, and keep it up. And I hope you get that fight in San Francisco that you're looking for as well.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. There he is, Andre Touchy Fili. What a great guy. What a great story. So thoughtful. Loved what he had to say about his spirit and what he's had to overcome. That was really great stuff. So that was one of the good stories on Saturday. Another one that I spoke about at the top of the show. Ryan Hall was back in action. He defeated Darren Elkins, and I told you I loved every minute of it. I'm a big fan of Ryan Hall fights, and I'm happy that he's kind enough to join us on this Monday afternoon. Let's say hello now to Ryan Hall. Ryan, how are you?
Hey, Ariel, doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you on the show, Ryan, and congratulations on the win. I loved that fight from start to finish. I loved everything about it. Did you like it? Were you happy with your performance?
Yeah, I mean, it was far from perfect, but I did my best, and it was really good to be back in there. Darren Elkins is an absolute warrior. It was an honor to face him. He was incredibly tough, and I was really happy to come out with a good result, but more importantly, to face tough opposition and I feel I performed well, and I got to work and show things that I've been picking away at for a while.
What didn't you like about it?
Nothing. Obviously, there's a bunch of technical things that I'm trying to fix. I was happy with composure. I was happy with some other things, and obviously, it's always a work in progress. Particularly when, I've got 10 fights now. Plus whatever the heck we had all Ultimate Fighters. So some experience, but not the 25, 30 fights that most of the guys that I'm in against now have. So it's definitely coming along. Piece by piece, and I guess I would just say that there were technical things that I need to clean up. But beyond that, I was pretty happy.
I'm happy as you're talking about this that our great director Jay is showing off your striking, because I thought that was your best striking performance in a fight that we've seen thus far, at least in the UFC. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. The first time that I ever really did any extended period of striking in a fight was on Ultimate Fighter in the quarterfinal, and I remember thinking that was important to start to, just to try to be able to do, obviously, in a high level context in a fight. So I was happy to be able to do that again today, and then I'm happy that my off brand skill set is enough to get good results against very good opposition right now, and look forward to improving it in the future, and hopefully we'll actually be able to get someone to the ground at some point.
Off-brand skill set. I haven't heard it described that way. What do you mean by that? When you say off-brand skill set, what are you trying to say?
I mean, like, my jiu-jitsu, I would stack up against anyone, anywhere, anytime. But my striking, obviously, everything's a work in progress. Jiu-jitsu as well, but striking is something I've only been at for a little while, and to be able to go in there and do the equivalent of having, very, very high level striker out wrestle and jiu-jitsu somebody, at a very tough opponent and get a good result, I think is, not always super common. And I'm just happy as a martial artist to be able to, make some progression in my skill set, and hopefully we'll keep that going forward.
I have to say, this fight, it sort of felt like it flew under the radar or caught me by surprise, because I'm so used to you fighting once every year, 2 years. Here you are fighting, a few months later after your last fight. How did you feel about that? Like, would you prefer to fight more consistently like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that definitely helps for the comfort factor and just for progression. I think there obviously, there's always that back and forth where you're trying to decide, how often is too often. I think I don't ever really have that problem. I'm definitely on the other side of things. So I deleted my Twitter, by the way. I never use that thing anymore, so I know it's up there, but
Oh,
I won't ever go on that
okay.
cesspool. And I feel better already. But anyway, where was I? I think it still exists, but don't use it. Anyway, I guess what were we talking about?
Oh, I was asking you about fighting a little more consistently
Oh
and
yeah,
not taking a
I
year off.
sorry about that. Yeah, I definitely prefer that, and it's definitely something that I look forward to do going forward. I'm hoping to fight the end of this year, and just look forward to kind of building on the experience and improving.
By the way, why did you delete your Twitter?
I just think it's unhealthy, and I mean, what's the benefit? I look at the phone, and 3/4 of the time I'm face palming. It's just how ridiculous the world is. And then you go, wait a second. Of course, I do dumb things, and if I told you about every dumb thing I do all the time, you'd be face palming as well. But it's one of those things where it doesn't bring any benefit to my life personally, and all it does is, whether it makes you feel like you're cool because this such and such person is a goof, and you think you're less of one, or it makes you feel bad about it, or just despair at the state of humanity. I don't think it's positive. I think that social media, Twitter in particular, is an absolute cesspool, and I'd better off just ignoring it.
Did you delete all social media, like Instagram as well, Facebook?
We're working on it. I don't really have a Facebook either, but step by step.
Okay, but eventually you want to be free and clear of all social media.
Yeah, what's the benefit? I mean, obviously there is a benefit from a marketing perspective, which I don't really do, and definitely, obviously, if they're on the information giving side, like where you are, of course, engaging in that realm is important. But other than that, all how it is. I can go, hey, at Ariel, how you doing, and say X, Y, and Z nonsense to you, and it just shows up at your phone. It's turned the entire internet into a what do you call it, like a comment section or a discussion forum, which, as we all know, is the absolute lowest place on the internet, or at least that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would just say it doesn't bring a lot of benefit. All you can do is annoy yourself, and I prefer not to be involved.
Honestly, I respect it, and I don't disagree. I wish I was able to do that, but unfortunately I can't. So
One day.
Yeah, one day we'll be clear of all this stuff. Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I was going to ask you about the love that you were getting on Saturday, which clearly you did not see. But it seems like finally, believe it or not, I feel like people are starting to slowly but surely look. There's always going to be people who say that they're not a fan of your style, but I feel like people are starting to see the beauty in your style and appreciate how unique you are in there and how unorthodox your plan of attack may be. I'm starting to sense that as well, and I was wondering if you were starting to feel that.
I can't say. If people like what they see, I'm glad, I'm happy that they're enjoying something. If they don't, it doesn't bother me. I'd again change the channel. And as far as I'm concerned, whether it's people telling you you're awesome or people telling you that you're not, it's not terribly healthy. I don't need a cheering section, and I don't need the other nonsense. You can deal with it. It's something that I've dealt with for a long period of time in my life. But as you have, as well as every other athlete as well. But basically, I listen to myself. I listen to my coaches, the people close to me. And if they think what we're doing is in need of change, then we keep on changing, as we always will. If they're happy, then I'm happy. And basically, I would just say I try to control what I can control, and being on that silly roller coaster of how people are feeling, because I don't see the value, if I'm honest.
Do you enjoy fighting?
I love it. I absolutely love fighting.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you like about it, or love about it?
It's challenging. It's you have to have you have to prepare. You have to work hard against an opponent a challenge that plays back, a mountain that tries to unclimb itself. That no matter how well you climbed it last time, it's not the same thing. You have to have the courage to be yourself in a moment where the urge is to do what everyone else is doing, or do what you feel safe, or and again, that may or may not be, but can you have the courage to be yourself and to be different and to do what you feel is right, in a situation where you face not only embarrassment or this or that, but someone could really hurt you. We see every now and then, recently with some knockouts, you can get really, really hurt, and that is a risk that we all take. And I would just say that I think I'm very thankful for the venue that the UFC provides in putting me in against top opposition, because anybody can stare in a mirror and recite their speech or do this or that, but can you when the chips are down, can you summon your talent at will? And I like the chance to try to do my best to do that.
Phenomenal answer. I guess the reason why I was asking is because you sometimes have a look on your face where you're just kind of like indifferent to it all. But that's just kind of that's part of your charm, right? You're just like right now. I feel like
I don't
you
know if
hate
it's
this
charming.
interview.
No, I always enjoy talking to Ariel. Thank you very much for having me on, by the way.
No, of course. I love it.
But oh, thank you. It's interesting to talk with people who are engaging and talk about, ideas rather than, no, nobody wants to hear me come on and talk about how cool I think I am or some nonsense like that. And it's the same old silliness. And, I don't really enjoy that. And I don't, you can tolerate that sort of thing if you have to, whether it's being on the giving or the receiving end of that. But when it comes to exchange of ideas, and that's ultimately what a mixed martial arts contest can be if we allow it to be, it's a testing ground and it's very real. And I think that the internet is the opposite of that. Let's say, for instance, where I can go on and say all sorts of nonsense that, it's very rarely accurate, very rarely true, and face very, very little immediate or even long-term repercussion unless I'm very unlucky. And then the what do you call it, the mob, appears and tries to destroy my life. But basically, I enjoy the immediacy of it, and I enjoy that you are the man in the arena, and that although MMA is a team sport as well as an individual one. Ultimately, you are the person, you are the captain of your ship, and you have to make the decisions that you will cause it to sink or swim or sink or float, I guess I should say. And I really appreciate that because I don't think that there's that many places left where things are that real.
I wanted to clear something up with you. So the word is that the UFC is going back to Washington, D.C., which is where you live later on this year. And I believe you live like walking distance from the arena over there. It was once the MCI Center. Now I believe it's the Verizon Center. Is it still the Verizon Center?
I'm about to say, I think it's the Verizon Center. If it's not, that's news to me. It's wherever the Capitals and the Wizards play.
That's right.
And yeah, they're going there on December 7th. I would be very excited to fight there. It would be neat. It'd be nice to not have to travel. And I would, that would just be something that doesn't come along in your life, every day. You can't find that opportunity around the corner. And I think that, I've done well to this point. I hope that people, have feel that I could be competitive against very tough opposition. And even if they don't, they want to see me beat up. Now this is their chance.
Capital One Arena, by the way, it's now called. So I think who knew, right? Corporate Jake knows in the back.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Capital
Thank you,
One
Jake.
doesn't have the same kind of ring as Verizon Center, the phone booth.
No.
But is it true that so I was told that obviously you want to fight on that card. You'd like a top 10 guy. If you can fight on that card against a top 10 guy, are you considering walking away? Is that accurate?
I mean, I we'll again, we'll cross any bridge when we come to it. But what's important to me is facing tough opposition, and it would be really neat to be on that card because, as far as I know, I'm the only DC area UFC fighter. Maybe two of us, maybe Sadiq Yusuf, I think, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, so I can't imagine. I mean, again, the UFC is full of interesting people that they could put any show they like. But I would hope for the opportunity to fight there, and I think at this point, a really tough opponent, and like Darren Elkins was most definitely. That good lord, the guy is just as tough as nails. And would be really appreciated, and I'd look forward to the opportunity to get in there again.
Another thing that I love about watching you fight is we get to see Kenny Florian work a corner, and we don't get to see that often. And I think he's one of the smartest people in the game. I think it's a crime that Kenny isn't on a broadcast somewhere, and I think he should be coaching more. And I know he has his gym in California as well, but it's always great to see him in your corner. What makes him so good? Like, I mean, it's easy for me to say he's so good, but like you actually feel the effects of his brilliance. Why is he such a good coach?
Well, I think that Kenny obviously brings an unbelievable amount to the table. I feel incredibly fortunate to have the coaching staff that I do. Between Ton Lee, who I just can't say enough about. We became friends on Ultimate Fighter, and we've been day-to-day training partners ever since. He's, the spinning kicks, things like that. So that's Ton Lee 101. And trying to put that together has been unbelievably helpful. Obviously, Kenny's been working with me since 2014, which is, prior to the Ultimate Fighter. And, I run every single thing that I do by him. We're always going back and forth. I feel like we were in a lot of ways coming into the UFC in a similar situation. He, was light on experience. I was light on experience. Both came from the jiu-jitsu background, starting late in that as well. And, he not only is he a great thinker and a great martial artist, but he also has so much experience as the guy actually in the arena. So knowing what it's like to be competing at that very high level, he was a title challenger 3 times over, fought and beat some of the best guys out there, had good fights with the other ones. And that was, that type of experience is absolutely invaluable. And just the little bits of guidance in addition to everything technical, tactical, that people can give, when they have that type of background and the cerebral kind of quality that allows them to articulate what happened and why, both what they thought was successful for them and also what they might have changed had they had the opportunity to do it again, is just absolutely invaluable. And like you said, I think he's a phenomenal thinker and a great commentator. And now to have that type of effort pointed towards helping me fix my game and do what I need to do, I feel unbelievably fortunate, and I just can't repay him for that. In the same way I feel about Faraz Zahabi as well. A great thinker, someone with unbelievable amounts of experience as a trainer and in the corner. And each person that I have around me, and they bring something. There's a lot of crossover, but they all bring something unique, and I'm very thankful for all of them.
I feel like before it's all said and done, he's not top 10, but I would really love to see you compete against Kron Gracie. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that would be neat. Kron is an unbelievable jiu-jitsu guy. I would be really excited to face him in MMA or in grappling. Frankly, he's obviously Hickson's son. That's as Gracie jiu-jitsu as it gets. Kron was one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world during his time. I remember being a blue belt when he was a purple belt coming up, and watching him just mow through the competition as a purple and brown, and then obviously did phenomenally well at black belt as well. The opportunity to face him would be great, and I guess he may be up against Cub Swanson in a little while. Right now, I'd be focused a little bit higher up the chain. But if the stars align, it would be a really, really neat thing, and that would be a very tough test as well.
I know you don't like to call people out, but since you're so focused on that 10-1 number, is there a name that you want?
There are a couple people that we're looking at, but again, me, Ariel. Yeah, we'll
so close.
Sorry, this close. We'll have to see how it plays out. But again, everyone at this point is very tough. And I would be excited to face the people that you can imagine. And some of the people that I'd like to fight, realistically, I haven't earned the right yet. And, so I wouldn't even want to mention the names, but if things come along and anyone would like to step up, I would be very happy.
Well, keep doing your thing, my man. Congratulations on the victory. I'm happy that you're not listening to anyone. I hope you know that there are people who appreciate your style and love watching you fight, myself included. And I hope you get that fight in D.C. That would be a great scene. Dare I say, you should headline that show in D.C. I mean, they had 800 Sacramento guys on this card. Why can't the D.C. guy get on the D.C. card and headline it? You know what I mean?
I like where your head's at, Ariel, and we'll see. Maybe, who knows? Maybe people will take a 5-round fight if they wouldn't take a 3-1. Maybe they'll get very tired. We'll find out.
Yeah, and not run away from you and engage on the ground, all right?
But that is an interesting thing that I'd like to address for a quick second.
Oh, please.
Is if you're losing the fight, and if I'm about to say, because I would imagine people complain about rolling to the guard and things like that. I would encourage anyone else in the UFC to try it. It's again, if it's an easy thing and it's a passivity thing, I would encourage other people to engage in the same tactic and reap a similar benefit. But in the event that that's not quite as easy, if someone were to lay down on their back in front of me in a fight that I was losing 2 rounds in, I think that I would definitely try to pursue that. I understand why people don't, but the idea that is a passive thing as opposed to an active, come on, let's go. I think is not fair. And imagine Israel Adesanya wanted to walk up to you, put his hands behind his back, and stick his chin out, just because we're still striking doesn't mean you shouldn't swing on him.
Right. And I would even argue that you represent the best that MMA has to offer, because if everyone was like Israel Adesanya, if everyone was like Francis Ngannou, this would just be kickboxing or boxing. The beauty of this sport is that you can win a fight in so many different ways. And if you can't appreciate what you do, or you can't appreciate what Damian Maia does, maybe this isn't the sport for you. But there is beauty in it, and I like it. And I like that there's something for everyone on a card, and you represent that. So keep doing your thing.
Thank you so much, Ariel. And I'm glad that you're out there, that Kenny's out there, that some other excellent, people that are getting, an education component that I think sometimes is missing in mixed martial arts that lets people think that it's kickboxing with little gloves, which of course that's a large and important component to it, but it's not the only thing there. Hopefully over time, the NFL has done a great job of educating its fan base and things like that. I hope that the UFC continues to do the same.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate the time. Again, congratulations, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care, Ariel. Thanks for having me on.
All right, there he is, Ryan Hall. Great win for him over Darren Elkins on Saturday, and hopefully he gets that fight December 7th in Washington. All right, now before we get to our next guest, I'm looking forward to talking to Alexander Hernandez. Let me tell you about my good friends over at Vivid Seats. I love these guys. They supported our first ever Helwani Roadshow in Chicago last month. They're great sponsors. They're great friends of the program, and they're always there for us. So I would urge you to support them because they support us. They are an online event ticket marketplace dedicated to providing fans of live entertainment with experiences that last a lifetime. You know the drill. You want to go to a show. You want to go to a game. You want to go to a match. You want to go to an event. Download the Vivid Seats app and type in where you want to go. Boom. You get the best prices, the best options for that event. Vivid Seats helps you find your seats to any of your favorite live sporting events or events of any kind, including concerts, sports, theater, and more. They offer great prices and an easy purchasing experience. With this code, KNOCKOUT, KNOCKOUT, KNOCKOUT. I've heard from many of you who have used the code and have received 10% off their first purchase just by downloading the Vivid Seats app. That's it. Go to the App Store right now or Google Play and download the Vivid Seats app. First time new customers, again, enter the code KNOCKOUT to receive 10% off your order. All Vivid Seats confirmed orders are backed by a 100% guarantee. Support them because they support us. One of my favorite sponsors. I love Vivid Seats. Here's Ben Askren weighing in. So my good friend Jedi Goodman was tweeting a quote from Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall mentioning earlier that he's not a fan of social media. And he said, quote, "I think that social media, Twitter in particular, is an absolute cesspool and I'm better off just ignoring it," quote unquote. Well, Ben Askren just retweeted that and said, "I strongly disagree. Twitter is full of great info and fun personalities, interesting ideas being exchanged frequently." Well, there you go. Something for everyone. And how about Ben Askren? Wow. I think that was the most watched interview in the history of this program. Certainly in the ESPN era, but I don't know if we've ever had a standalone interview clip do over 2 million views on YouTube. Incredible. He's handled it so very well. He hasn't gone into a corner and into a hole and hid from everything. He hasn't shunned the spotlight. He's just kind of going along his way. It's pretty remarkable. It's amazing. It's like nothing happened. And I would argue, again, that he's more popular today than he was going into that fight because of how he dealt with the loss. And that's not to say that Jorge Masvidal isn't popular in his own right. It's incredible what's become of him. Le Batard show getting all this praise. He's pretty much mainstream now. But Askren, in a loss, a devastating loss, has done a pretty darn good job as well. All right, let's move along. UFC back in San Antonio this weekend, and one of the fights that I'm really looking forward to is the return of Alex Hernandez going up against Francisco Trinaldo. We have not seen Hernandez fight, of course, since January, his loss to Donald Cerrone. I'm curious how he's doing going into this fight, and I hardly recognize him. Whoa, what's going on?
Got full monk mode, man. Yeah, it's cutting all loose ends.
What happened? Where did the hair go? Why'd you do this?
Mix of the style. Oh, and I got a garbage truck coming through. 1 second.
Oh, second time today?
I'm in the garage right now.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I just went full monk mode, man. You know, I'm always talking about it. So just mix of the style, cut the loose ends before the fight. Get right. Change the image a little bit. It's a rebirth.
And I appreciate it. Do you feel different? I mean, it's just a haircut, but do you feel different?
No, not because of my head.
Okay.
I don't feel any different because of my head. But I do feel great. You know, people say it all the time, but I honestly believe I'm in the best shape of my entire life. I'm hitting rounds that prior to that last fight in January, I was getting maybe, 3/4 of the way done where I'm blowing it out of the water. Now just certain workouts that we hit that we thought were kind of unreachable workouts, just crushing them. And so for me right now, I feel like I'm not at the peak, but certainly at the best I've been as far as cardio wise. And for me, that's a big deal. Just knowing that I can keep up a pace that seems irrational for most.
So obviously one of the things I was curious to find out in speaking to you, Alex, is, you stole the show going into that first show on ESPN Plus back in January. That press conference beforehand, you were incredible. And I said that to you afterwards. And of course, the fight didn't go your way, and there was so much at stake there. This was such a big opportunity. How did you handle the loss in the aftermath? How did it go?
I mean, as good as I can, man. I keep saying I'm not in this for participation, or just to say that I did it, or to be another number in the rankings, or just to be some guy on the fucking roster. My goal from the beginning has always been to be the best, to be number one. And I wholeheartedly believe everything I say, and I bust my dick off to be that guy. So, it was tough. It was tough after that fight. I took some things for granted. Certainly, I mean, if there's any way I was going to lose, it's going to be experience and composure. And where I lost it, he held it very well. And just settling in after that loss, just had to, embrace the truth that it was, look at my faults, recognize it's no fault of skill or tenacity for sure. It was a matter of composure, patience, and poise. And so that's been the name of the game ever since, preparing for this fight, preparing for everything moving forward. It's just been breathe, be patient, be poised, don't press to a detriment, because the pressure's always been like an innate response for me. Go until he breaks and make sure he breaks before you do. But looking at that fight, it's like I had it rocked, and I had a teammate that said it best. He said, he didn't win that fight, you lost it, and I'm at liberty to agree, because it's like, not to say he didn't win the fucking fight, but what I mean is that it's almost like I gave it away. Like I had it, and if I would have just stepped back, enjoyed a wounded animal, and taken my time with the kill instead of just forcing that kill shot, it could have been a very different fight. It could have been over in the first round. It could have been over early in the second. So for me, it was an extraordinary lesson in experience and composure, and he did a hell of a job in just that. Seeing his game evolve. Not necessarily, physically, but mentally, he's leveled exponentially. So for me, that's what I had to take from it. I had to learn from his growth. I had to learn from other people's growths that I watched in the fight game, and just and look introspectively and just say, what is it about your nature that we need to kind of adjust, so that way we can rewire the software and move forward the fighter that we need to be the best.
Sometimes when people experience this, when fighters experience this, they change camps, they change coaches, they change training. Did you make any, other than your hair, did you make any drastic changes?
No, I mean, I've had the shaved head before too, so it wasn't too crazy. I guess it's kind of fucking crazy. I haven't done it a little bit. But I've been talking about that. I was like, man, by the third or fourth fight, I'm going to shave this shit. No, I mean, like I said, for me, it was, it's intuitive adjustments, introspective changes I need to make. And then I've got the same coaches and staff that I've had, since the very beginning. And that's not going to change, especially if I'm needing to make mental adjustments. The people that know me the best are the guys that I grew up with, that I came up with. And that's the last thing I need to change, are those coaches. And we're all growing together too. I mean, there's a lot that we're all learning, that we learned a lot from that fight, from my cornerman and myself, everybody that helped me in the back. And so, it's just a growing process. But the last thing in my mind was, I'm gonna switch gyms or just restart somewhere. I think people are always too quick to look out the window instead of look in the mirror, and they're always trying to look for an excuse elsewhere. But I know it's within me. I need to make changes within myself. It's not, I need my pad guy to be sharper, or, hell, if I had a better jits game. That's what I'm saying. I didn't feel like, even now, I don't feel like he's even better than me. I don't. I feel like I'm worlds better. I just didn't compose myself mentally the way I should have, and I got way overzealous. I had a rhythm that I lost, and he took it. And so for me, it's just making those minor adjustments and recognizing in myself what I need to correct, not necessarily, hey, my coach's problem or somebody else. If I replace this guy, all of a sudden I'll be better off. I don't believe that at all.
Just curious, up until that point, your UFC run was pretty darn good. You had not lost a fight since 2013. Yeah. In hindsight, was it possible you were feeling yourself? Like you just kind of thought that you were...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was feeling myself.
You were? All right.
I mean, yeah. And so that I even said that, kind of in a post comment, that maybe, the best and the worst thing that might have ever happened was that really quick Dariush knockout in the debut, because I had a lot of fights that were kind of going that way, where just my pace. And then it kind of even hindered me in the next fight, that Mercier fight in Canada, just kind of expecting that if I land that hand or any shot, I'm going to take him out. Now, that being said, Trinaldo, anybody moving forward, any shot I land does have the potential to separate them from their consciousness. I'm not taking anything away from that. And the last thing that I did from this fight was lose confidence. I just had to taper it down a little bit and be a little bit more reasonable, rational with it, and extend it over the course of 15 minutes instead of a first round. Every one of these fights I've been saying I'm going to take him out in the first round, and God, I believed it more than anybody could. And that level of conviction was kind of my detriment, because I'd land these big shots and I was hitting him hard in the chin and he wasn't faltering. And I was thinking, man, why the hell isn't he going over? He looks, now in my mind too, I was thinking, I fed into, and this is just inexperienced talking. This is inexperienced talking. I fed in too much the way he looked at weigh-ins, the way I had him in the press conference, the way I had him, everything before. And I was like, dude, he looks diminished, he looks terrible. If I hit him, he's going to drop. And I couldn't even appreciate the fact that he was hurt, and that maybe it'd take, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots. Maybe it'll take 15 minutes. Who cares? But I put so much stock on the fact that if I land these shots, they're going out. And so when it doesn't go your way and you've got such what you believe to be a clarity or a vision that, the fight's got to go a certain way, and it doesn't go that way, your body goes into this kind of flight mode, and unconsciously you start getting these reactions that aren't favorable for a cognitive fight. You start getting a little bit too much reactionary, a little too much fight or flight mode. And so for me, it's really just kind of making that adjustment, rationalizing myself that, hey, dude, we're not going in there to put people out in the first round. We're martial artists. I'm a fighter. And I honestly believe I'm the best there is. I just need to tighten my things up and compose myself. I mean, that's the bottom line. So I was on a hot spree. Mentally, I was on top of the world, and I had abundant confidence. Now it's like, okay, let's keep that confidence, but let's taper it down to a 15-minute round instead of a 5-minute blowout. We're not going in there for an execution. We're going in there for a fight. And I don't care if it's a point system. And whenever he's ready to go, he'll let me know. I'll take him out. But until then, I'll pick my shots. I'll enjoy my scores, and win a good fight, as opposed to just going in there and trying to blow it out of the water every second of 4 minutes or whatever.
I love the fact that it appears as though your confidence hasn't wavered. You're still the same confident guy, and that's what I was curious about, because you come across as such a confident person. You're so well spoken. You're the same guy as back in January, right. And I'm happy that a singular loss hasn't changed all of that for you. No,
and I mean, you definitely. That's not to say, you take a loss, and especially you have a mindset like mine. Anybody who's believes themselves a champion, that shit hurts, and you definitely go to a dark place for a little bit after that. You climb out of that hole better, and you take the licks, you take the lessons, and you move forward. And that's all I can do. But again, the last thing that I can do is doubt myself. And if there's anything that fight taught me, it wasn't to lose confidence. It is just to learn composure. And so, yeah, I mean, a loss is a loss, but it's a lesson, a valuable lesson. And again, I don't think I lost any fight because of a lack of skill or because I was the lesser fighter. Is because I acted inexperienced. And so I gained some experience. I'm going to apply it into this fight against another extremely experienced guy, veteran of the sport. But again, somebody who is not tactically, skillfully, doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the strength. He's not on my level. And so what do I need to do is just slow it down, compose myself, and execute. That's it.
Do you like this matchup against Trinaldo? I remember you were supposed to be booked against him back in January, and that whole thing fell through. You end up fighting Cerrone, so you've been thinking about him, I'm sure, for a little bit now. Do you like this fight?
Yeah, I love the fight. I don't think there really is a bad fight out there for me. I'm not. Again, I've always said I'm not a guy that's worried about matchups or styles, body types, anything like that. I'm never really, strayed from any opponent. So Trinaldo, yeah, he's a fine opponent. I like him. He's on the roster, ranked, or at least he was. I honestly don't know what the fuck the rankings look like anymore. It's mostly a popularity contest. It's all social media. It's just whatever people want, which is cool. But he is a very top contender, top competitor, and certainly not going to overlook his age.
Yeah.
As a lesson I learned, don't underestimate that number. So, no, I like the matchup. I do think that he's one-dimensional in the sense of maybe not even one-dimensional, but certainly a bit of a one-trick pony in that he leans heavily on one, maybe two big shots. Avoid those shots. It's not to say, you can say the same thing about Deontay Wilder. That's a dangerous, dangerous man. So that's not to say I'm underestimating anything, but I'd certainly am more versatile, more capable, and more deadly, I believe. I just need to, again, compose, watch out for his attributes, and exploit his weaknesses.
And
that's that, just like any opponent.
And you're training out of San Antonio right now, right?
Yep. I'm actually in New Braunfels in the garage right now, and my homie's trying strength and conditioning. So we're about to get a workout in after this. We were just looking at some film this morning of some people we want to aspire to move like and be like, and about to get some work in, and then I'm gonna head into San Antonio to Ohana and get some afternoon work and take it easy.
How many friends, family? You gonna have a lot in attendance on Saturday?
Oh yeah, dude. We're at the home base this time, man. First time fucking, these last few fights I've went against Ronald Reagan in New York, and then I had, the Canadian hometown guy in Canada, and so it'll be nice to not get booed walking out. That'll be a good change of pace. But yeah, I expect to have the whole artillery there, a boisterous bunch of San Antonioans, Austinites, and just everybody North Central, South Texas, and they're represented for us. So it'll be a good show out for sure.
I'm looking forward to it. Great to see you back, Alex.
Absolutely.
As always, love everything that you say and love your demeanor and your confidence. And it's great to see that isn't all shaken up after that loss. I'm looking forward to the fight and your return on Saturday. Good luck to you.
Thank you. And, I kind of expected you to give me a little extra praise on that shaved head. I see you walking that Helwani bad boy look for a while now, and I was just kind of thinking we might be on the same boat now.
I like it. It's the first thing I noted when you came on. I like it very much. But I will admit, I liked your other hair as well. I liked your old style too.
I appreciate that.
It kind of gave you a boyish charm. Now you're a bit more of a bad boy now. I feel like you've got an edge to you.
Kind of got that Siberian edge is what I was going for there. So
monk. I feel it. The other guy's like trying to sell you a mortgage. This guy's trying to beat your ass. It all works. Yeah.
Got you in an alleyway with a shiv. Yeah, that's the look.
Exactly. Yeah. I like it. Well, keep it up. You're looking good. I hope you fight good on Saturday. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Have a good one, brother.
All right, there he is, Alex Hernandez, one of my favorite guys to talk to. I mean, he's so well spoken. The way he describes, the approach to the fight, his emotions, his thoughts, his feelings, it's amazing. So I'm a big fan of his. Of course, he's coming off that loss to Donald Cerrone, and you'll recall that press conference in Brooklyn right before the fight on the Thursday before the fight. That was the one where Cejudo came out, and I think he had the snake fighting TJ Dillashaw. Hernandez stole the show. He really did. The way he was talking about Cerrone being an old man and all that stuff, the hotel. Well, unfortunately for him, it didn't work out. And Cerrone taught him a lesson, but as he said, he is fighting another elder statesman, if you will, and he's not going to look past Francisco Trinaldo, who he was scheduled to fight back in January. So big fight for Alex Hernandez, big opportunity for him to get back on track. And I like two particular stories on this San Antonio card. You've got Alex Hernandez coming back, as we've just talked about, but also in the same kind of vein, you have Dan Hooker coming back from that loss to Edson Barbosa back in late December, and I'm very curious to see how both those guys rebound from tough losses to veterans a month apart, December, January. So interesting card, interesting stuff. That's this Saturday. All right, let's move along now and say hello to Bellator President Scott Coker. I'm told he has a lot to get off his chest, so let's not waste any time and say hello to the man himself, Scott Coker, who I hope is over the Warriors' loss to the Raptors. Are you over it by now, Scott?
Boy, I'm not sure if you can see my shirt here, Ariel, but I'm still wearing the colors, buddy. I'm still rocking the Warrior stuff.
That is a nice shirt, Scott. Wow, where'd you get that one?
Oh, I got it at the stadium on my way to losing the finals.
Do they give you that when they make you pay like $1 million for the Chase Center? Is that like the thing that they throw in?
They don't give you anything. It's you got to pay for everything there.
Well, you're looking good, Scott. You guys are on a roll these days in the UK, killing it. You just had a great show in Thackerville once again. Fellow Canadian Julia Budd. But can I make a suggestion? I know you love when I give you my suggestions. We need to have a show in British Columbia with Julia Budd and Rory McDonald. What are we waiting for here? This is too perfect. Two British Columbia natives.
It was just availability, really, of the venue. And when we have TV dates that we're trying to fill, and it's just availability. But it will happen because we are in dialogue with certain stadiums, multiple stadiums around Canada, and sooner or later it will happen.
Okay, so you guys are planning to go to Canada at some point.
Absolutely.
Okay, well that is good news. By the way, speaking of the 145-pound division, it's in the news these days. I know you were asked about Chris Cyborg recently. Are you kind of licking your chops at a potential Cyborg Julia Budd fight?
listen, Chris Cyborg is still under contract from what I understand, and she's still fighting. And listen, we're not going to have that conversation until she's a free agent. And if she gets to become a free agent, we will definitely have a conversation.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, that's the female 145ers. I am told, Scott, from some sources that you have some things that you want to say about the male 145ers. Last week I reported that Patricio Pitbull versus Juan Archuleta is going to be one of the fights that's part of your big featherweight Grand Prix. You first told us about this on the show a few months ago. It's going to be 16 fighters, not 8 fighters. But I'm told that you have some information that you want to share, so the floor is yours. What do you got?
Yeah, listen, the tournament business has been just a really good growth for Bellator, and we're excited about launching our featherweight tournament. We had great success with the heavyweight tournament, great success with the welterweight tournament, which will finish at the end of October, location to be determined. But now we're going to launch the featherweight tournament. It'll be on DAZN, and it launches September 7th. We've already announced the main event between Ryan Bader. He'll defend his belt against Czech Congo. But it's not going to be an 8-man tournament. Like I said, it's going to be a 16-man tournament. And the fights in San Jose on September 7th will be Daniel Strauss versus Derek Campos. We'll have Sam Sicilia versus Pedro Cavallo, Emmanuel Sanchez versus Taiwan Claxton, and Pat Curran versus Adam Borix. So that's going to be the first 8 athletes to fight in the featherweight tournament. And then we go to L.A. We already announced the Pitbull versus Juan Archuleta fight, and the remaining 3 fights in the featherweight tournament on that night will be Daniel Weichel versus Saul Rogers, A.J. McKee versus Georgie Karkanian, and Darian Caldwell versus Henry Corrales. And then the super fight will be Gegard Mousasi fighting Lyoto Machida. So we got some great fights coming up. We're really excited. This is going to be a great event, great tournament. Both events. Tickets go on sale next week.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of big names there, a lot of rising stars, veterans, nice little mix. One thing I wanted to ask you was the Pitbull Archuleta fight is a 5-round title fight, but that's part of the tournament as well. Will this be the same thing as the welterweight tournament where every single tournament fight is a 5-round fight because the belt is being defended in the midst of the tournament?
Yes, that's the only 5-rounder. And think about this. This is like the Sweet 16. So this is the elimination before they go to the 8-man format. So once we get to the 8-man format, which will be after this round, it'll go to 5 rounds for every fight.
Oh, okay.
And the one thing about all these matchups, Ariel, is that these fighters, besides the main event between Pitbull and Juan Archuleta, they didn't even know who they're fighting until we announced it just now.
Really?
We sent out a document. Yeah, we sent out a document. We said, you want to be in the tournament? We're not going to tell you who you're fighting. You're just signing for the tournament, and you'll fight whoever of these names. And everybody agreed, signed the document, sent it back, and they're in. Because at the end of the day, they all get paid their prize money throughout the year, and then there's $1 million prize money at the end of the tournament.
So none of these, not a single one pushed back? None of them said, wait, I need to know who my opponent is?
Nobody. In fact, how Juan Archuleta got to fight Pitbull was he called me, and he said, I want to fight Pitbull. But other than that fight, the rest of the fighters did not know until we just announced it today. So they're getting the information firsthand, just like you and I.
Wow, okay.
Talking about it.
And the winner obviously will be the champion, but also wins $1 million.
That's correct.
Now, is this courtesy of our friend 50 Cent?
You know what? We in dialogue with 50 about a new brand that he's launching.
Okay.
But it's not finalized. But either way, we're going to be committed to giving $1 million prize money to the final champion of the tournament featherweight, which will be next September.
Okay.
In 2020.
So my understanding as well is that you're an old school guy. I know you love the old K1 Pride days, and my understanding is this isn't your typical tournament where there's an actual bracket and this guy is going to fight that guy and then fight that guy. Can you explain what's going to happen second and third rounds? Like what happens after this slew of fights? And great job by Corporate Jake here putting it all together. There's one half of the first round, and I think we'll see the second half momentarily. But what's going to happen after this first round?
Yeah, we're gonna actually share a little page book from K1 when I was working there, and they had the best show. So don't get locked into the brackets of who's fighting who on these brackets, because there are no brackets right now. These are just single fights. We're gonna end up with 8 athletes at the end of September 28th. Then September 30th, we're going to go into the studio at Viacom there in Hollywood, and we're going to do a show. And it's going to be a drawing show. And so we have 8 athletes go into the television studio, and it's going to be a drawing of sorts, which they will go and pick a number, and they'll go to different, like a different set design that we have, and they'll be able to basically pick who they want to fight, and then at the end of the day, we'll have an 8-man tournament that's a random draw. Is what we're trying to create.
That's incredible, and this will air live.
This will air live, and so we're working out with DAZN, or it could be on our app, or it might be on Paramount, but we'll definitely have it out there available for all the media to obtain live, because we think this is a big deal. And I'll tell you how the drawing is going to work. There's going to be 8 balls in a like a basket. They're going to pick one. We're going to have numbers inside each one, and we're going to have 8 slots against the wall. And then if I pick one, I get to go first. I could pick any one of those 8 numbers and walk up and stand under that number. And if I pick number 2, now I have a choice. I could go fight the number 1 slot wherever they went, or I could go on the other side of the bracket. If I pick number 3, now I have 3 choices. I could fight the number 1 slot, the number 2 slot, or pick an empty bracket. So this is the way K1 did it. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to getting to that 8-man tournament at the end on the 30th and making a great show out of it.
Wow, I love that. That's a great twist. You've done the heavyweight tournament, the welterweight tournament about to wrap up, but this is fun because you've never had 16 guys before. I have to ask, conspicuous by his absence is Aaron Pico. He's not a part of the tournament. I'm curious why you left him out.
Well, Aaron is an athlete we still have a tremendous lot of respect for. As far as belief in Aaron, we still are, in the Aaron Pico business. And we thought that this might be a good time for him to take a step back before he moves forward. And these are all like just, fights that, throwing him right back in there. We thought there might be a time to take a little bit of a step back. And also, Ariel, we're due to meet his management here, I want to say, in the next 2 weeks and have a conversation and figure everything out. But as far as, Aaron fighting, maybe he ends up on the alternate slot. And so he might be competing, but just in a different way, and maybe he could earn his way back into the tournament, or earn his way into the tournament. But for right now, I feel really good about these 16 athletes. I mean, we have a killer division, and all the heavy guns there are going to be throwing it down on starting September 7th.
I have seen several fighters campaign to be a part of the tournament on social media. Did you have a lot of fighters reach out to you guys and ask to be a part of it leading up to making the final decision?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, not just some fighters that didn't make the list, which I don't want to go into that, but we felt like these were the people that would best represent Bellator and to make it a great tournament. And a lot of these guys are part of the old school regime of Bellator even before I got here, and we thought that they deserved to have the slots. And then we got some of the new young guns, and so it's a mixture of some of the legends of Bellator, some of the, like Pitbull is just, a beast out there, and he's been killing it everywhere. And then we got AJ, the young kid, coming up, seasoned veterans, like Henry Corrales, Georgie K, Sanchez, who, these guys are on any given day, man, they could throw it down. So we're excited, man. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
These are the kind of things that will differentiate you from other promotions. And you recently had the fight at MSG between Caldwell and Horiguchi. And that's another thing, your willingness to co-promote, to work with other promoters like your longtime friend, Saki Kibara. Starting to hear more rumblings of something else happening in December in Japan. Can you tell us anything about this?
Well, there's nothing confirmed, but listen, people already know we're talking to Saki Kibara about doing some type of event together. We haven't decided if it's going to be a co-pro, fighter sharing, a Bellator event by itself. But listen, I would love nothing more than to be in Japan, sometime in December, throwing a big fight there inside Thomas Super Arena, where all the big fights happen.
Okay, that would be fun. Would I be crazy to think that you just re-signed Fyodor Emelianenko? Would that be a natural place for him if you're able to figure it out?
Well, you get all the big bombs coming today, Ariel. Well, all the big three-point shots coming from deep.
You up, Scott? You up? This is my shooting my shot to Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, Fedor in Japan is magic.
I mean, listen, that's something that we're definitely working on. I mean, it's a situation where we haven't finalized the details. I mean, Saki Kibara and myself. Yeah. Once that gets done, then we could talk about the athletes. But I would love to have Fedor fight in Japan because I think it'd be so much fun to watch that fight. And whether it's a Japanese fighter or whether maybe he fights Rampage Jackson or Josh Barnett or whoever, I think it would just be a magical night to see him back in the cage, or back in the Bellator cage in Tokyo.
Okay, speaking of free agents, it has been a minute since you guys, you had that like slew of signings, the Roy McDonalds and the Gegard Moussasis of the world, but it has been a minute since a big name has been signed or has left a promotion to come to another. Any particular reason for that? Anyone on your radar these days that you could talk to us about? I'll tell you,
I just think that the people that, these organizations, there's a lot of organizations coming into the business right now. And it reminds me of the time when we had Pro Elite and Affliction and Strikeforce and Pride and UFC and, the list goes on and on and on. So to me, it's just going to be a matter of these companies to see where they're going to go. Or if they're not going anywhere, then there'll be more free agents on the market. This is the kind of business that's going to go up and down. And, and sometimes when there's not free agents available, that's why we build them, because you have to build them from the bottom up. And we've done a great job here in the last 3 years of building some top athletes ready to take the next step. But free agents will come and then free agents will go, and they'll be available sometimes and they won't. And that's just the nature of the business. But, there's a lot of promotions right now that are out there, signing people, and let's see what happens. It's going to be something that's going to be, I think, a short-term to mid-term, question mark as to, how the sustainability of these other business models, to see how they go. And that'll determine how the free agent market goes. It will kind of reflect itself.
How about your old friend Tito Ortiz signing with Combates and fighting Alberto Del Rio? We're about to talk to him in a few minutes. What did you make of that decision?
Well, listen, I mean, he wants to fight, and I think it's a good fight for him. And I'm still a fan, and he's done so much for the sport. He did a lot for Bellator when he was here, and I have a lot of respect for him, and I wish him good luck.
I don't hear, I hear him talking about Dana a lot these days and the UFC. I don't hear him, shouting you out and saying, Scott gave me a new lease on my career. Where's the love for you?
No, it's okay. Listen, he was with the UFC for how long? I mean,
right.
Decades, right? I mean, we had a 2-year, relationship as a promoter and fighter. And so, I get it. He's been around for a long time. And, we're probably with him 10% of his longevity in the MMA business.
Did you see the Ben Askren knockout?
I did. Yeah, that was tough to watch, man. I mean, the shot was great. It was a great technique, but the aftermath of him freezing up, and I didn't feel good about that part. That was a little bit scary.
Jorge Masvidal, former Strikeforce guy.
Yeah, you know what? I'm still counting on my clickers, man. I was like Luke lost, and Masvidal won, so I'm 1-1 tonight. But it's still when somebody gets frozen up like that, you're really worried. And I heard he went to the hospital, and that's just something that you don't want to see or hear in the sport. But I know it's in the business and it's part of the business. But for me personally, it was tough to watch.
Okay, a few other things before I let you go. Do we know when the welterweight final is going to be? Because I know you said that you wanted it to be in September, but then Rory asked for a little more time. Have you pinpointed when that will be yet?
Yeah, it'll be. I have a roundabout time. It's going to be end of October.
Okay.
Location to be determined, but we will, have the fight before the end of October, and Rory will defend his title against Douglas Lima, which is just going to be another amazing fight. So I think Rory wanted a little bit more time to heal, which I thought 30 days was reasonable, and we're going to get it on in October.
Perhaps in British Columbia?
We're working on it. I don't want to make a commitment.
Fair enough. Also curious, because you've been talking about the featherweight Grand Prix for a while. Now that it's set, and we've gone heavyweight out of the way, welterweight about to be out of the way, featherweight's about to start. Have you already started to think about the next one, the next weight class?
Yeah, absolutely. And and I'll be honest with you, one of the weight classes that comes to my mind is maybe the 205-pound weight class.
Interesting.
Because you have Bader in there, you have Mousasi that could fight in there, you could have Lyoto Machida in there, you got Phil Davis in there. I mean, we have a good amount of talent in that weight class that we could actually do a nice 205 pound tournament.
Would that be next year, though?
Yeah, I think, a tournament once a year is definitely enough. I don't want to run multiple tournaments where they kind of, run across each other. Our goal was to get the Rory fight done before we started this featherweight tournament. It wasn't possible, but, I feel like that fight will be over, and then it'll be all about the featherweight starting in September. And then October we'll finish the welterweight tournament. But overlapping tournaments, especially multiple tournaments, I just don't think that's the right way to do it.
Would you ever go back to the one-night deal? I know you dabbled with that a few years ago. The four-man in San Jose. Do you like that, or do you prefer to keep them separate?
The four-man tournament, especially for MMA, it's very tough because people get hurt. And so I like the format the way we're doing it now because, Ariel, you have a chance to really create a story and really paint the story about all these great athletes, their hometowns, what they're doing, how they're training, who they're training with, all their friends or relatives. And you really get to know them. And that's what I really appreciate about these year-long tournaments is that we're painting a picture. And by the end of the year, I think that everybody's going to know who these fighters are that are in the 1 and 2 slot fighting for the title.
Okay. Well, some big news, Scott. This is exciting stuff. I appreciate you coming on and sharing this with us. By the way, I don't see Dylan Dennis there. I know he doesn't fight at 145, but I just figure he's such a big name. You might as well just put him in every tournament, no? Make him figure it out.
Well, he's in the other office working today, so I'm not sure if he has time to train to get to 45. The business partner, so he's got to work too. He can't just get a free ride.
Can we look at that full screen one more time? Let's see the field before we say goodbye to Scott. So kind to be on the program here and share this with all of us. So here it is. It kicks off September 7th at the Shark Tank, the old stomping grounds in San Jose. Daniel Strauss versus Derek Campos. Sam Sicilia against Pedro Carvalho. Emmanuel Sanchez against Taiwan Speedy Claxton. And Pat Kern against Aaron Borsch. That's a great fight right over there, old versus new. And then, of course, the title fight. Juan Archuleta is on some kind of roll, had the big win last month at MSG against Patricio Pitbull, the champion. Daniel Weichel against Sal Rogers. I love that fight. AJ McKee against Georgi Karakhanyan. And, of course, Darren Caldwell moving up to 145 once again against Henry Corrales, who had a nice win earlier this year as well. So great stuff there. That's September 28th in Inglewood. I appreciate you doing this, Scott. Thank you very much for sharing that information. Good luck the rest of the way. And congratulations on what's going on in the UK as well for you guys. You guys are killing it over there with your European series. I understand the ratings are doing very well as well. So keep up the great work over there in that market.
Thanks, Ariel. I appreciate it.
All right, there he is, Bellator President Scott Coker joining us. Always interesting to have him on and get his insights on everything going on in Bellator. And there you go. There's the information right over there. The 16-man featherweight tournament is set. It kicks off September 7th. All right, so that's Scott Coker's story. Now let's move along and say hello to our next guest. A legend, a living legend, is back. Tito Ortiz is back, and he meets Alberto Del Rio, we believe, later this year for Combate Americas. But let's get some more information from the Huntington Beach bad boy himself, Tito Ortiz. Tito, how are you?
Doing good. How are you, Ronnie?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you very much for doing this. So, okay, let's start before we get to Alberto. Why did you come back? We thought that the Liddell fight was the last one in November. Why did you decide to come back?
I thought I was done too. Camp just went so well. After 18 weeks, I just put my body through hell, as I've done through the last 22 years. The fight was over. I still had that itch. I still wanted to compete. I had to call Randy Couture and ask him, Randy, when you were 43 years old, what made you come back and want to compete? He goes, Tito, I really didn't think I was done. I think I had so much more to do. I had that same feeling in my own heart. No more injuries. Life at home is wonderful. My girlfriend Amber is an amazing mother to my kids. My kids are happy. I'm happy. My training camps have been great. I'm sparring with younger guys. It's just when my mind's in a positive environment, I feel like I'm untouchable.
Okay, so then you decide to come back and you decide to sign with Combate. Why them?
Well, Combate, actually, they've grown such a huge fan base in such a quick amount of time with Campbell working with Central America. Of course, being in a Hispanic market, what would be best if Tito Ortiz's name was a part of it. Campbell came to me and George Pragin with Primetime 360, sat us down on the table and gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. I love to fight. You got to understand it. just turned 44. I feel great. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect. I love to compete. And like I said, the deal was perfect. I couldn't complain.
Did you talk to Bellator? Did you talk to any other promotions?
Yes, I did. I talked to some of them. Actually, George talked to the other promotions
Right.
For me, and no one didn't want to match the money that I was getting through Combate. So, I got to look for the future of my children, and we live a certain lifestyle, and at the same time, I got to do what I love and do it the right way. And with Combate, I'm just excited because it's a new company. I'm able to bring some new eyes to that company. And Campbell's been an awesome guy with me. Of course, work with George Prajin, who's an amazing agent, has been giving me things over the last 7 years that I've been waiting my whole life for.
Is this a one-fight deal?
No, actually, this is a 2-fight deal.
Okay.
I'll be fighting Alberto Del Rio, which I got to give him a clap just to say, you know what, man, you got some big cojones to call me out, that he wanted to fight me. They came to me at the table saying that Alberto wanted to fight me. I was just like, all right, this guy must be training. And I know he trains actually at the national, the national team in Mexico City, and of course in, San Antonio. So I know he brought all his family from Mexico to San Antonio. He trains full-time also, and is the ambassador for Combate America. So it just makes great sense. Him being a former WWE heavyweight world champion, having a mixed martial art record, background also, and a amateur wrestling background also. So I think this will be a very interesting fight.
So when you signed with Combate, did you sign to fight Alberto Del Rio, or did that present itself after you signed?
It was a sign with Alberto Del Rio. They came to me and I had to kind of hold my tongue. You know me, I like to say everything that's on my mind when it comes about, and I had to bite down and kind of just keep hush-hush about everything and let Campbell do his work, let Combate do their work, and now it's out. I start training today, actually. So, I've taken a little time off. I've taken about 4 months off. Enjoy life a little bit, fishing with the kids, It's been a good time off, so now the hunger's back to get in the gym. So I'll be training at the UFC gym here in Huntington Beach and at Ruka in Costa Mesa with Jason Perillo. Of course, you have my same training partners, as always, Moses Marietta, Rafael Davis, Scott Carr, and Jay Silva. So I know what I'll need to do for this fight. I just got to train hard. I'm getting everything I wanted, and that's what makes me very excited. But at the same time, I get to get in some great shape.
When will the fight happen?
So I heard sometime in October. There's no date set yet.
Okay.
I heard sometime in October, so that's why I'm starting today on Monday. So I'll give myself a good, 8 to 9 weeks to prepare and get my body in shape. The timing haven't really gone anywhere, but I just think I just get in great shape and be fast as I possibly can be, as I was against Chuck Liddell. And it's just one of those things. I look at the Chuck fight, and I was 10 steps ahead of him. And it was just because of the work that I put in. He's the one who called me out at the Hall of Fame when me and Chuck Liddell were there before the fight. They asked me and Chuck to go face to face off. So they were supporting Chuck, and they were saying, you know what, Chuck has an opportunity. He has a chance. Chuck's saying I was a tune-up fight. Well, Chuck will open up a beast, and now it's time to keep eating, baby.
Where will the fight be?
I am not sure about that yet either. I'm still waiting.
Okay.
So hopefully it's somewhere really, really beautiful. Hopefully it's somewhere where everybody can come watch.
Will it be in America?
Yes, it will be in America.
Okay. Obviously, this is a big deal. This is a big fight for, the Latino community, with Alberto Del Rio being so popular, you being so popular. So I thought maybe it'd be in Mexico, or I know that Campbell was in Spain last week as well. So was wondering if they were going any of those.
I know they mentioned Mexico City once, and I would love that. I would love that to happen. And I heard something about Spain, but there was no for sure. I think it's more guided towards here in the States, just because of the fan following that I have, and of course Alberto has through professional wrestling.
And just to confirm, will it be at 210 pounds?
That is correct. I gave him an extra 5 pounds.
Oh, really?
I tried to make it at 205, and he was like, come on, man. I'll walk around 240. I was like, okay. I walk around 235, no difference. All right, I'll give you. He goes, how about 215? I go, all right, how about we make it in the middle at 210? So it'll be at 210. I get to put on an extra 5 pounds of muscle. So I'm excited. I'll be stronger than I was my last fight.
Now, is there legit beef between you two? Because I've seen some back and forth on social media. You were talking about like doing this for all the legal immigrants, and you know, I know you're into politics. Like, what is the backstory here?
Well, you got to think about this. I'm not into politics. I'm not a politic person.
Okay.
I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an American. I want the safety for my children's future to be number one, and our president is putting that for our country. I want that to happen. Now, on the opposite side, Alberto Del Rio, he wants open borders. Anybody can come in our country whenever they want, and I don't believe in that. And so I think that's where we kind of butt heads, and I think the story will lead up to the fight in general.
Wow. Okay. So you guys aren't friends?
I wouldn't say friends. I respect the man. I really respect him. You know, there's not hate as I had against Chuck Liddell, but you never know. I mean, you start talking about people's countries and you start talking about the future and the safety of our country here in America. I don't know. I'm willing to die for it. You know, if I wasn't a fighter, I probably would have been a great Marine.
Will this fight air on some kind of pay-per-view platform, or will it be on cable television?
I am not sure. I haven't heard the details on that yet.
Okay.
So I'm kind of waiting.
Do you want it to be on pay-per-view?
Of course I would like to be on pay-per-view. It really don't matter to me. I just want to go out there and I want to compete. I want to fight. They gave me an opportunity to compete against somebody who thinks he could beat me, who thinks he's going to give me a run for my money. And wherever it is, either it's on free television or pay-per-view, I just want to make sure that everybody watches and see what I do the best, and that's punish people.
So, as you alluded to earlier, he does have an MMA career. I think a lot of people at first are like, Alberto Del Rio, WWE wrestler. No, he's 9-5 as a pro. And, of course, we remember the Dos Caras Jr. moment with Mirko Cro Cop. He used to fight in the luchador mask. Like, when you're preparing for him, will you look at some of that old footage? It's been a while since he fought. Or are you just going to not watch any of that?
I've already watched it. I watched it before he even signed the contract.
Really?
I watched everything. I hope he doesn't put a mask on, because when my elbows hit him in his face is going to be all cut up really, really bad. I'm going to put that mask through his face. And he doesn't realize that. So I hope that he doesn't wear a mask. But I really don't think the athletic commission will sanction it that way. But hopefully he doesn't wear the mask. We'll see, though.
See, I kind of want him to wear the mask. I feel like the mask is
You
awesome.
do?
Yes, of course. I think the mask is great.
I guess I'm from a pro wrestling fan myself. I guess, yeah, it's pretty cool. But I'm trying to look out for his safety. I just want to make sure that he understands that he's going to get taken down and I'm going to put my elbow through his face. I just want to make sure that the stitches aren't too bad.
Has this been discussed at all, whether or not he will wear the mask?
Not yet. No, it has not been discussed.
Okay. Wow. What a scene that will be if he brings it back. Did you see that Cro Cop fight?
Yes. I watched it about 7 or 8 times.
Do you think it's legit? Because there's been talk over the years that it was a work.
No, it was not a work. You watch that left head kick and he clipped him right on top of the temple.
Okay.
And he fell, and you see Cro Cop hit him with a right hook right to the chin, and he was out. Through my whole career of 22 years, I've never been knocked out unconscious. I've always been able to get up, stand up when the fight was over. And for him to be knocked out unconscious, I'm going to do the same thing to him. I'm going to try to knock him out unconscious, as I did Chuck Liddell.
I saw some fans joking online when this was announced last week that, oh, will this be a work or a shoot? What do you say to those people? Will this be 100%?
Not one time in my career of 22 years that I've had to work. No possible way. I put my life on the line every time I compete. When I'm in the gym, I train as hard as possible. I'm not going to come in out of shape. I'll come in ripped, shredded, like I always do. And let me tell you, there is no possibility, there's chance of this being a work. I don't do stuff like that. If I did, I would have gotten the WWE a long time ago.
Right. What happened with Golden Boy? Because it seemed like even after the fight, there was some talk that you were going to continue, that they were going to be a part of the MMA community, they were going to start promoting events. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen anymore. Ultimately, what went wrong there?
You know, what I really think it was just the concentration of the company of Golden Boy into mixed martial arts really wasn't what they wanted to do. They wanted to continue with boxing And I think there's just so many different legs in this mixed martial art world that they couldn't really understand exactly how to promote it the right way. With boxing, it's easy. It's just one way. It's one thing they need to do the right way. In mixed martial arts, it's totally different. Dana White is a perfect example of it. The guy works his ass off, and it shows. Everybody in the world knows what UFC is and what mixed martial art is, and that's thanks to Dana White because he works so hard to make it happen. Oscar, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about him because he gave me the opportunity when no one else would, but you got to do your homework before a fight. If you can't even read off a piece of paper who the fighters are on the card, you're not doing your job as a promoter, and I think that's a mistake that he made.
Why didn't they have you be the Oscar of Golden Boy MMA?
Well, I would have loved that, but I think as the fight turned out and how things happened after the fight was over, I wasn't happy. Chuck wasn't happy. So why continue on with somebody that really didn't respect us for our business acumen of the things we've been doing over the last 22 years?
So would it be fair to say Golden Boy MMA is dead?
You'd have to be fair to say yes.
Okay.
It's gone. It is on the History Channel now.
Okay. And so you said you signed a 2-fight deal. Let's say all goes well in this fight. Any idea what the second fight will be?
I don't know. I would like to possibly do a cross promotion. This is something that I would like to talk with Campbell about, but do a cross promotion. I know Ryan Bader's the champion at heavyweight and light heavyweight.
Oh.
Let's do a cross promotion. Let's do a rematch.
Oh.
Let's give that chance back to Bader. I'm willing to give him a chance. The kid deserves it. He's a hard-working man. He's the champ. I respect him like no other. I think Ryan Bader's an awesome human being, an awesome fighter, an awesome father. I look up to the guy, and I respect for being a champion. So, let's get in there and let's try number 2. Let's see if I was lucky the first time.
Now, let's say 2 fights. Those go well. Are you able to say if those are the last 2, or you're keeping the door open?
I don't know. How long did Randy fight till? The reason I say this is because I look up to Randy so much. He fought up to about 48. He was able to continue to compete. If my body's able to do what I've been doing over the last year and a half, 2 years now, 2 years now, I'm happy. I'm fine. If everything continues on the streamline the way it's going, I don't know. How many more? 3, 4, 5?
Okay, so the door is wide open.
Wide open. I want to compete. I watch Uriah Faber fight. He's only 4 years younger than me.
Yeah.
The kid look amazing. He look awesome. See, it just shows when guys take care of their bodies is really, really important. If you take care of your body and do the right things to prepare, you're not going to get old. You're not going to be the guy sitting on the couch going, "Oh, I wish I could do it." But that's another thing. All the people out, the listeners and people who watch and people who hate on me or love on me or either or, just believe in yourself and get up and do it. Give it a try. And yes, it does hurt. And yes, it is hard. And yes, you need to be motivated. And you got to have the ability. You got to have the emotions. You got to have the motivation just to do these things each and every day. That's what makes me live. If you're not living, you're not working hard for it, then you're really not living. And I think that's really important, is to go out of the way of pushing yourself past the limits. And I've been doing each and every year that I've competed of 22 years.
There's certainly something to be said for that. I remember you had that 5-fight streak where you lost or had the 1 draw. Then you had the Bader fight. Then you had the other losing streak. And then all of a sudden, 4 of the last 5 you've won. 2 great performances in your last 2 fights. If you would have told me around 4 or 5 years ago that you'd be still fighting now on a winning streak doing this, it's pretty remarkable, I must say. I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, Tito, but I got to give you props on what you've done in this latter portion of your career, because I don't think anyone saw this coming.
Thank you. And I like to say, I got to give it to just the factor I met a wonderful woman. Amber Nicole Miller is a great mother to my kids, a great partner with me. She actually has motivated me like no other. It's nice to come home to a sanctuary instead of coming home to walk on eggshells. My ex-girlfriend, I was too busy trying to save my mother. She had a lot of problems, and I couldn't save her. It costed me about $30,000 of going to a therapist. And yes, I went to a therapist. I had to, but I went to a therapist and go, "Stop trying to save your mom. Find someone to save you." And I did, and that's been 6 years now. And I'm happy. Life's great. I'm able to train, do what I love to do. My kids are happy. Life's great, man. I'm very thankful to be on this blessed planet.
Last thing for you, Tito. Now in the aftermath of beating your rival, Chuck Liddell, after all those years, does it feel as good as you dreamed it would feel? Like, do you still revel in that victory?
Yeah, I do actually. Dana went on of just saying, "Oh, that fight should never happen," and everybody else, of course, yeah, Chuck was old, this and that. But it was like, once again, Chuck called me out. He said I was a tune-up fight. He's gonna fight John Jones. I'm like, man, this guy doesn't realize what he's gonna get into. I think the best feeling was just right after the fight. And of course, 30 for 30, ESPN, they made the documentary of that fight. And you'll see the emotions right after the fight. It'll be out, I believe, September 16th. It's coming out, 30 for 30, with me and Chuck Liddell. It was a great experience. It was a great journey. It was something that I was able to find in myself, of the courage, the will, and the motivation to get in there and compete against a person who beat me twice already, and said I was a tune-up fight, and said that he's going to make me look stupid. And sorry, things went the opposite direction.
Thanks for doing this, Tito. Congrats on the new deal. Congrats on signing with a new promotion. I'm curious to see what you and Campbell do. Campbell's an interesting cat, so it's always interesting when he is around.
I've known Campbell back since the very beginning, before
I remember.
Zup was even a part of it. God, this was back when Bob Meyerowitz was a part of it.
Right.
And Campbell's always been a very respectful man to me, very honest guy, straight shooter. When he first started this company, I go, keep at it. You got something good here. There's no one attacking Central America or the Latin market. This is something that's going to be great for you. All of a sudden, boom, I'm signing a 2-fight deal with him, and I'm excited to work with him.
Good luck to you in training, and keep us posted on when that fight is booked. As far as a date, location, I'm curious about that as well. Thank you for doing this, Tito.
Yeah, without a doubt. Of course, all my fans, you can follow me at Tito Ortiz 1999 on Instagram. I post all my videos. Alberto Del Rio, you can watch all my training stuff, watch how I'm going to whoop your ass. But at the same time, thank you guys. I appreciate you.
All right, there he is, the Huntington Beach bad boy himself, an all-time great, a legend of the game, back in action against the great Dos Caras Jr., a.k.a. Alberto Del Rio, later on this year, October perhaps. And we'll see. I had actually heard Las Vegas was discussed. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But that is going to happen for Combate Americas. All right, so that's Tito's story. Now let's go back to Sacramento. Main event, of course, featured huge win for Germaine de Randamie, perhaps her biggest thus far in the UFC. And that even includes the Holly Holm fight, because this was an opportunity for her to really assert herself as the number one contender at 135. And I think she did just that, despite all the controversy. She's kind enough to join us right now. She's back home, I do believe, in Holland, right? Is that right, Germaine?
Absolutely. We just arrived.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's got to be wild for you, because you travel all that way. How far is it from your home in Holland to Sacramento? How long does that take?
It took us, I think, about 15, 16 hours.
Wow. So you go 15, 16 hours for a 16-second fight. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And
well,
I
didn't count on 16 seconds. So
of course, and it went your way, so all is good. And I know a lot more goes into the fight. But do you, like, in a fight like that, do you feel like you got it all out of your system, or do you feel like you're fresh and you can go next weekend?
The thing is, I thought about it, because I told my coaches, I'm like, this is kind of weird, because normally, you get punched at least once in the face. You take at least one good shot, but I didn't take one good shot. So that was weird, but I feel good. I'm happy. I cannot complain. I'm sorry.
Have you watched the fight again?
Yeah, I've watched it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure you've watched it maybe a couple times?
Yeah. The 16 seconds I watched a couple times. Yes, absolutely.
How do you feel about the stoppage now?
I still feel the same. I understand that people might say it might be, it could have been maybe a little bit early. I completely understand. But at the same time, I honestly believed I absolutely rocked her with the punch. And if Herb wasn't going to jump in, I was going to jump on top of her and finish the fight right then and there. So, and at the same time, I think Aspen is very young. I have absolute utmost respect for her. And She's young. She still has a long career ahead of her. So why take more damage than necessary?
When you were preparing for the fight, when you were envisioning the fight, did you think that an opening would present itself that early in the fight, or were you surprised it happened so quickly?
You're always surprised. When you dream about the fight, when you go to sleep, you'd be like, I throw 1-2 punch and then the fight is over in a dream scenario. But I'm also very realistic, Ariel. I mean, this is probably the one and only time in my career this is gonna happen. I mean, it landed clean. She dropped her left hand, and I landed. I stepped a little bit towards her right side when I landed the right hand, and it landed flush. If it's, I cannot say it's a lucky punch because like I said in interviews before the fight, I will throw everything like I want to finish the fight, and I did.
It drives me nuts when people say it's a lucky punch. Like if I punch someone, that's a lucky punch. You're a trained fighter. You've been doing this for decades. How could it be a lucky punch? That's what you're trying to do. So that just drives me nuts. You've been doing this for a long time in MMA now, but also in kickboxing. You were undefeated as a kickboxer. I think 37-0 off the top of my head. Was that the
46.
quickest? 36, excuse me. Was that
46?
46. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. I'm sorry about that.
No
46-0. Was that the quickest fight of your entire career, MMA or kickboxing?
Absolutely.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I had a few short finishes, but not this short. Absolutely not.
That is incredible. And so you have this situation. Like to me, the unfortunate part about this is that was a great performance over an undefeated fighter, a very tough fighter, a rising star in this sport. And again, the narrative going into this fight was, Germaine, is out of the storm and she's moving on from what happened in 2017. And again, it feels like you can't get the credit that you deserve. You can't get the respect because of the controversial call. Do you see it that way? Does that bother you?
It doesn't bother me at all anymore. I said it before in interviews. There are fighters that had their fair share in things that happened in their careers, and they are forgiven. And I got a life sentence, and I'm okay with it. It is what it is. I can't reverse it anymore. The only thing I can do is move on and keep doing what I do. And I love what I do. And I got a lot of positive reactions. I got a lot of positive love. So I like to focus on the positive, not on the negative.
And I fully respect that. But when you say life sentence, it gives me like chills down my spine. People who have tested positive for steroids, they don't even get life sentences. Why do you deserve a life sentence? Why is that okay? Why should we accept that?
I don't know. That's a question I cannot answer. I wish I had the answer. I don't understand it either, because it's also not a message I want to give to the people. Like I said, I'm a very positive spirit, and I just want to share my love for MMA. And I wish at some point, people could forgive me, but if they can't, it's up to them. I don't have to live with hate. I don't live with hate, and it is what it is.
What would you like them to forgive you for?
They don't have to forgive me. They don't have to forgive me. Not at all. I wish at some point, we could just move on. Like now it's the never ending story. I'm so much more than the Holly Holm fight. I got so much more to offer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's up to me also a part. I keep just doing what I love to do. And just like Saturday, I love what I do. And you can't take away my smile. So, and I'm still here. I'm still doing what I love to do. I won't quit. You can't make me quit. Nobody can.
And I hope you don't quit. And you have a great smile. And you're such a nice person that I hope people are able to see that about you. And I view this path that you're on. That's why I hope that you don't accept the life sentence, because this could be what a story will be. You get the title shot. You could avenge your only loss in the UFC against Amanda Nunes. I mean, do you view this as the potential way to erase all of that? If you can get this opportunity and fight for the belt and win the title and be a champion at 145, 135, maybe then people will get over this?
And even if they don't get over it, it's okay, Ariel.
All right.
I would love it. For me, it would be a big honor to fight Amanda. She's a great, great champion. I absolutely respect her. So to answer Chael Sonnen, because I know he posted a video. Yes, Chael, if the UFC gives me a shot at Amanda Nunes, I will take it. I will take it. Just to answer that question for him.
I'm happy that you did. And I'm curious. Okay, going back to Aspen, did you see the footage of her on the scale the day before the fight? What did you
No,
think?
not before the fight. They showed me after we fought.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you didn't see it. Well, what did you think when you saw it, even after the fact? Should she have fought, in your opinion?
To be honest, that's not up to me. You
Okay.
know, it's not up to me to decide. If she would have called and said, "Hey, Germaine," or her team, "Hey, I have a hard weight cut. I have a hard time this time. I can't make the weight." I'll be like, "No problem. You know, come in heavy. We're still gonna fight. We're the main event. We're gonna fight." For me, the most important thing that Aspen is healthy. She is young. Weight cutting is just, it's not good, you know. It's always hard. But for me, the most important thing that she is healthy. She should not suffer. Not Friday, not anytime in the future anymore. You know, I mean, I hope for her that maybe she can find another way to cut the weight down and make it a little bit easier on her, because there's no fighter that should go through that.
When you see that after the fact, though, does that, for me, again, someone who doesn't go through this, I say, this is scary. This person shouldn't be fighting. When you see it, does it seem a little more common to you? You know what goes on. You know how scary weight cutting can be. You know the horror stories and all that. Does it seem somewhat alarming when you see a person shivering, shaking up on the scale?
Of course, you're concerned. And I'm not concerned about the fight being canceled. I'm absolutely concerned about her health. But if she says she's okay and the doctors approve that she's okay, I'm going to assume she's okay. And I could only hope that the people surrounding her make the right decision for her and be honest that she is really okay. Fighting is cool. I love fighting, but it's not worth jeopardizing your life or your health at any time.
I saw a couple of theories thrown out after the fight. I wanted to get your take on them. Herb Dean doesn't do a lot of interviews these days, so I'm asking you to sort of answer for him, and if that's uncomfortable, I understand. But I'm wondering, do you think he stepped in because of how she looked on the scale? Did that thought cross your mind? Stepped in a little? No? Okay. What about this theory? I've seen people say referees have a tendency, whether it's subliminally or not, to step in a little earlier when it's a female fight. Do you think there's something to that? Have you noticed that as well?
No.
Okay.
I remember the Rosie Sexton fight where she got beat up. I think it was by Jessica Andrade. It's been a very long time ago.
Yeah.
She took a very, very bad punishment for 3 rounds. No, I don't think they step in faster. No. What I didn't notice is the moment I hit her, there was a second of hesitation before I landed the second shot. I knew her. I saw her on the side of my eye. I saw her looking at her the whole time. And she was, at that point, it looked like she was looking around like, okay, what's going on? And I think he stepped in because at that moment, it was a second that she didn't respond properly. I think he responded on her. It's his job to protect the fighter if we can't protect ourselves anymore.
Now, this is the question. Go ahead, please.
So I think he does what he thinks at that moment is best. And why take more? I understand the audience want to see blood. They want to see a bad knockout. But why take more damage than necessary? We're talking about serious brain damage. We're landing very heavy shots on each other to finish a person. Look at Jorge Masvidal versus
Ben Askren.
Ben Askren. Thank you. Sorry. I mean, those last 2 shots.
Yeah.
I understand he keeps going to fight until the referee pulls him off, but we don't need to do more damage. It's not only the damage we do in the fight, it's the damage we do in training camp.
Sure.
We almost take shots every day at our head. I'm not saying that everybody's sparring every day, but if you shoot on somebody or your head hits a hip or somebody's sprawling on you, or you shoot and you hit your head against a wall or a cage wall, we take shots to the head every single day. Why take more damage than necessary?
Yeah, and honestly, I hate the fact that you even have to answer these questions. You didn't decide to stop the fight. You were just going out and doing your job. And so for the most part, these questions should be asked to to Herb Dean. One thing I would love to ask you, though, is because I've been wondering about this ever since Saturday night, right after the fight. I've never seen this before. You were on the phone. You were talking to someone in the cage. Who are you? There you are, right over there. Who could you possibly be talking to in that moment?
Who do you think? If you now I'm going to ask you the first question. I'll answer it. But who do you think I was calling?
Okay, I'm going to guess the only person that I would want to talk to in that moment, my mom.
Amen. You're right on the dot. Yeah, you know what the thing was? The fight went so fast, and my mom, she's always so nervous, right? And I don't want to see me fight in MMA. So the picture you're showing now is me looking very serious, but it wasn't a serious phone call. Hold on. It wasn't serious. I'm just telling her, Mom, I'm okay. It went a little fast. I'm okay. So I always tell my friends and family and close ones, don't call my mom. No matter the outcome of the fight, I will call her. I will tell her I'm okay.
Wow.
You know, and I talked to my team. I'm like, does somebody have a phone? Give me the phone. Let me call her right now. I was so happy. I'm
That's
not
amazing.
gonna lie. You know, I really wanted, for me personally, I just wanted to have a good finish and be the Iron Lady again. And you know, she's my hero. Without her, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. I'm honestly, Ariel, for 20 years, this woman took so much in my fighting career. She makes my food every day. She does my laundry. You know, she helps me through everything. When I make life hard, she makes life easy for me. You know, we all as fighters, you know, we make it hard sometimes for ourselves. She's always the one that makes it easy for me. She's always the one that believes in me. She's always the one that stood by my side no matter what. I've seen people come, I've seen people go. And she's always been there for me. And I know it's so hard for her to see me fight MMA. And I just want to tell her, Mom, I'm okay. And then, you know what the first thing is she said to me?
No.
How is Aspen doing? Is
Oh,
she okay?
Wow. What a lady.
It's the first thing she says. Is she okay? I'm like, yeah, Mom, she's okay. She's awake. She'll be like, okay, good. I'll talk to you later.
Wow. So she's not watching live. She's waiting for someone to call her.
She's waiting for my phone call.
Wow. That is amazing. Is that the first time you actually called her in the cage or ring?
Yeah.
Well,
Normally I call her when I'm at the doctor.
yeah.
So on my team has always have my phone ready for me to call her. And now we were just standing here and we had to wait, right? It took a few minutes and we had to wait. So I'm like, give me the phone. Let me call my mom.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
so happy at the same time, you know, because yeah.
That was incredible.
She knew tonight that I wanted to make a statement. So it was.
That's a moment both of you will never forget. That's great stuff.
No.
By the way,
So when I walked out,
yeah?
I also said in the camera, I love you, Mom. So just when I was about to walk out, I hit my chest and said, I love you, Mom. But I said it in Dutch.
I love it. I see a "You Did It" sign behind you. Who put that up?
Oh, my friends did it. My friend, they watched at my place.
Yeah.
So they did it, and they left a bottle of champagne when I just got home.
Oh, that's great. You have great friends and a great mom.
Yeah, I do.
Do you want Amanda Nunes next?
You know, the thing is, I would love to have her next. So don't get me wrong. I would love to have her next. But I've heard Amanda wants to defend her 145 title first. And I have not been that active. So I'm like, if she's going to defend her 45 belt first, I want to stay active. I don't want to wait. Then I want to fight in between. If she says, no, I'm not, you know, I want to fight Germaine first, I'm ready to go.
Okay, but you have fought at 145. You're a former 145 champ. You could just meet her up there. Or you prefer 135?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Is there any part of you that's worried that because of what happened in the past, they won't give you a title shot, or do you think they have forgotten about it? Most important, forget about the fans for now. UFC has forgotten about it.
You know, the funniest thing, Ariel, is I don't care.
Okay.
Because, you know, even if I have to fight a few more times, I'll fight a few more times. You know, I just love to fight. Like I said, the UFC is going to New Zealand. I love to travel. I would love to go to New Zealand. So if I have to wait or the UFC is not going to give me a title shot, I'm okay. Well, let me go on a freaking nice trip to New Zealand. I mean, the people are great. I have some amazing fans from New Zealand. I would love to go there.
Yeah. All right. So you're in a good spot. You're laissez-faire.
Yeah.
You're happy. No problems.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
I can see it on your face. It's great to see. I know you've been through a lot.
Thank you.
and you certainly deserve it. Now, are we still going to work as a police woman? Are you still doing that job?
Yes, sir. I got to go to work tomorrow.
Tomorrow, no break, no vacation?
No break, no vacation. This
Unbelievable.
was my break. They gave me a break to go on. I took my holiday days to go to Sacramento and fight.
Wow. Immediately after a fight, especially one where you're fighting in the main event, do you find people notice you on the street? Like they're like, wait a second, you're the person who was just you. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, because they also did they showed my fight live on TV.
Okay.
And they did a huge item on the news
Okay.
about me. So it was a big thing. So probably people will recognize me. And there's a famous singer. I always walk out on his song. And yesterday he said on TV he's gonna make a new walkout song for me. So
Wow.
he's gonna make a special song for me to walk out to, Nick. He says, you deserve it. So it's time. You're going to get your own walkout song.
That is amazing. Well, keep doing you, Germaine. I'm very happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done on Saturday. What a punch that was. What a performance. And I'm curious what's next for you. I like this
Me
new
too.
Germaine. This is great. I love it. Screw everyone. Do your thing.
Thank you so much, Ariel. I truly appreciate it, man. I thank you. I truly appreciate it.
No problem. My pleasure. Enjoy the victory.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Same to you. There she is, the Iron Lady. Respect that woman, Germaine de Randamie. What a punch! She didn't stop the fight. She just did what she had to do. She dropped her, and that was it. Great performance, great win, and what a lovely lady. She's so nice. I mean, the hate that she's received, not fair in my opinion, and hopefully we can move on from that. All right, in a matter of moments, we'll talk to another big winner from Saturday night, Julianna Pena. But first, as you take a look at some of the notables from one Germaine de Randamie, let me tell you about my good friends over at Lightstream. Are you tired of credit card bills with high interest rates? Ready to pay off your credit card balances and start saving money? From Lightstream, you can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000 with no fees, no application fees, no origination fees, no transaction fees, no prepayment penalties. The rate is fixed, so it will never go up over the life of the loan. Plus, you can even get your money in your bank account as soon as the day you apply. The online application is so easy, you can apply right from your phone. Lightstream believes that people with good credit deserve a better loan experience, and that's exactly what they deliver. And just for our listeners and viewers only, apply now to get a special interest rate discount. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/Ariel, Ariel. That's me, not the mermaid, me, Ariel. Lightstream.com/Ariel. That's lightstream.com/Ariel. Great people over at Lightstream. And by the way, subject to credit approval, rate includes 0.50% auto-pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Ariel for more information. Support them because they support us. The good people over at Lightstream. That was great stuff. I appreciate them. Vivid Seats and Lightstream. All right. I think in a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by Julianna Pena. They are efforting. And then later, Urijah Faber, the returning Urijah Faber. And then later, Valentina Shevchenko. And then later, Greg Hardy. So still a lot more show to go. As I said, the UFC back in San Antonio this Saturday. That's the big show this weekend after a pretty busy weekend in MMA with Bellator and UFC and PFL and ONE. There's also Contender Series tomorrow on ESPN+. Have not heard much from Aspen Ladd. I did reach out to some members of her team. Obviously, she is disappointed after the loss. I was trying to find out more information from the California State Athletic Commission regarding, what the process was. How do they determine whether or not someone is fit to fight after a scene like that? And was talking to some people. They did check her out immediately after the weigh-in. They checked her out again Friday night and then Saturday afternoon as well. I was curious how much she weighed, how much she actually packed on after the after the weight cut, and how much she weighed coming. Like, that's something that I would love to see as a staple of every MMA broadcast, not just the UFC broadcast. It's something that we see often in pro boxing, but we don't see it in mixed martial arts for some reason. I want to know what they weighed in at. I also want to know what they currently weigh going into the fight. Like, what did they weigh when they arrived at the arena on Saturday night? That's fascinating. And that will tell you about the rehydration process and how healthy they are going into these fights. I would be lying if I didn't say that one of the first things I thought was, all right, did the weight cut, as scary as it looked, did it affect her ability to take a punch, right? There's like a tour going on now. Hello. There's a tour going on, and we're doing a live program. How about that? Isn't that amazing? Okay, so did her weight cut, her scary weight cut, affect her ability to take that punch? We'll never know. We'll never know for sure. I've asked around if there's any science that suggests that it does affect or doesn't affect, and thus far, it's hard to find anything. I'm curious. One would think being severely hydrated, being in that state, if you haven't seen the footage, it's disturbing. It's scary to watch someone shaking. Now, I was told that, there were nerves involved and it was cold and, big main event fight. All that could be at play, but it is unnerving to watch someone in that state go up on the scale, shake like that, and then go into a fight. Like they're about to get into a fist fight, and that's the way they look. That's scary. So I would suggest, regardless of any of that, regardless of if it affected her ability to take the punch or her state, why not try 145? At this point, we've seen 2 fights get canceled around 24 hours before the fight. We had the debut against Jessica Ai. We had the Leslie Smith fight. By the way, congratulations to Leslie Smith. She won her Bellator debut this past weekend. And we even had a miss back in the day in Invicta. Why not just test 145? It's kind of interesting up there these days, sort of. Amanda Nunes champion, Cyborg Spencer. It's sort of interesting enough. I was saying that I thought Macy's Chiasson should move up. Doesn't sound like she's taking my advice. She has another fight. But I feel like this could be something for Aspen Ladd. Just test it out. Just to have maybe a little more of a stress-free weight cut, if you will. We've seen time and again, especially these days, fighters move up in weight and start to enjoy some success. I feel like she would be very good at 145. And look, she's still very young. She's 24 years old. She has a very bright career. I wouldn't be surprised at some point if she does, in fact, fight for a belt, whether it's at 135 or 145. So let's not get too crazy here. But when you see something like that, if you're a member of a commission and you see something like that, or if you're the member of the UFC or Bellator, anyone who's in charge of these sorts of things, right? Like the Jeff Nowitzkis of the world. If you're not looking at that and saying, okay, what do we have to do to avoid this next time? What could we have done differently for this fighter? What could we do leading up to the fight? Whatever. Then what are we doing here? Like if that's not a warning sign, a fighter literally shaking on the scale, and I don't think I'm making this to be too big of a deal. I saw plenty of people weigh in on this. It's a scary thing. If we're not looking at that and asking ourselves as regulators, as promoters, what could we do differently next time to avoid? Because let's be honest, the North American promotions, for the most part, have dodged many a bullet when it comes to weight cutting. I mean, we've seen some scary situations. I remember Sacramento, speaking of Sacramento, UFC 177, Renan Barão weighing in to fight TJ Dillashaw, bumps his head as he, loses consciousness and is ruled out of the fight. Joe Soto steps in. And I guarantee you, all the stories that we've heard, all the stories that you have heard about weight cutting and the horror stories, I guarantee you they're all way worse. They're all the sugar-coated versions. Uriah Hall, remember that one? Had a heart attack. Like, we have heard some horrific things, and I guarantee you it's all the PG versions. They're all way worse. It's that scary. We've had, Michael Chiesa just last week told us, prior to the Anthony Pettis fight, thought that he was going to die. Paige Van Zandt on this show has talked about thinking that she was going to die fighting at 115. We've heard this time and again. Let's try to do our best to avoid it. And I feel like, okay, she made the weight, but we have seen the UFC force other fighters to go up in weight after a miss. Well, to me, that was a miss. Yeah, I know she made it, but that was scary. That was way too scary. Shaking, way too scary. Let's just suggest a move to 145. Let's see how that goes. Let's see how she feels there. just for the next one. No harm. They could find someone. No problem. As for what's next, I think at 135, the big question is what's going to happen July 27th, because that's when Chris Cyborg is fighting Felicia Spencer. And I think that if Chris Cyborg wins that fight and then resigns, so a couple things need to happen. We all know Chris Cyborg is on the last fight of her deal. So she has to win that fight and then resign. If they're able to figure that out, if they're able to come to terms with her on a new deal, of all the options, I think Nunes Cyborg 2 is the biggest one. That's the biggest fight they can make. December 14th, Las Vegas, something like that. That's the no-brainer. Now, Cyborg could win that fight and walk away. I see her tweeting all about Bellator, pumping up the 145ers over there. It could happen. No doubt about that. So if she wins and walks away, well, then I think Germaine de Randamie has to be next for Amanda Nunes. That's just a no-brainer. No one else at 145 really right now. And de Randamie has looked good as of late. She's coming off this win. And, oh, by the way, her last loss was in 2013 to Amanda Nunes. So there's a great story to be told there. Fight for the troops. I remember that one. It was a relatively quick fight, but there's a backstory. Now, if Felicia Spencer wins, now you have to start to ask some questions. Okay, is Spencer Nunes bigger than GDR Nunes? I'm not sure. It depends. Depends on how she beats Cyborg. If it's somewhat of a dud fight, maybe you go with GDR. If it's a great fight, you go with Spencer. So we'll see what happens. I think we'll get a lot more clarity come July 27th or July 28th as far as what could be next for Amanda Nunes. Now, if GDR doesn't get the next fight, maybe someone like Caitlin Vieira, who's been quiet as of late. We just saw Julianna Pena. Actually, no, Julianna Pena was at 135. Yeah, we just saw her at 135. I was getting confused with Nico Montano. I was happy to see make the way to 135. So Julianna Pena, 5-1. She's apparently MIA, but I'll still talk about her in this positive light. 5-1 as a UFC fighter, only lost to Valentina Shevchenko 2.5 years ago. You know, the fights aren't, the prettiest fights, if you will. She readily admits that, and she says that there's room for someone like me atop the UFC bantamweight rankings, and I have the kind of style that would negate Amanda Nunes' style. She's fighting a lot of strikers these days. I'm someone who can make the fight very dirty, in her face. So there's an option there as well. But I would just urge everyone, GDR didn't stop that fight. She's not the reason why it ended in 16 seconds. The referee did. I do think it was a little premature. I don't think it was the most egregious stoppage in the history of early stoppages. Like the Masvidal Askren fight obviously was a little late, but who could have predicted it was going to end that quickly? And Jason Herzog was a little far out. 5 seconds, the whole thing was crazy. But those two extra punches, you don't want to see that. You'd rather not see that. You'd rather it didn't happen that way. In this particular case, maybe a little more time. You would have liked to see Aspen get some more time to defend herself. And I do believe that the referees, we've seen this time and again. We've seen it with Steve Mazzagatti. We've seen this with other referees as well. Great to see Josh Rosenthal refereeing. They start to lose a little bit of confidence. They start to doubt themselves a little bit, especially with a little bit of criticism, some people talking about them, questioning calls. And I feel like in that regard, he was just a little too quick to jump in. Just a little too quick. So curious to see what happens next for GDR and curious to see what happens next for Aspen Ladd and Amanda Nunes and Chris Cyborg and Felicia Spencer. That happens on July 27th. Wow, this is a little too loud. What's happening? All right, no problem. All right, so still to come, as I said, Mr. Greg Hardy, the polarizing Greg Hardy, who returns to action on Saturday in San Antonio. And also still to come, Valentina Shevchenko, who will be headlining that August 10th event in Uruguay against Liz Carmouche. And you may recall that we had Liz Carmouche on the program recently, and she talked to us about the first time she fought Valentina Shevchenko, and she was supposed to fight Antonina Shevchenko, and they, at the 11th hour, switched the opponents, and then she ended up fighting Valentina Shevchenko, and she ended up beating Valentina Shevchenko in somewhat controversial fashion. But here we are all of a sudden with a rematch. How about that? So that's a good story. I'm curious to see how they promote that. And I'm also curious to see if they can find the footage. Because I don't know if that footage is available. I haven't seen it online. Maybe they could find it from the promotion. Also of note, last week, Cub Swanson booked against Crone Gracie. I think Cub Swanson is mad at me because I said that if I were the UFC, I would have booked Urijah Faber against Cub Swanson. And that's not because I'm taking a shot at Cub Swanson, but because they're similar ages and at sort of the same spot in their careers. And I don't know. I feel like he took that the wrong way. But anyway, I was a little surprised with this booking because I think that Cub is a very good striker. And I think the part of Crone's game that he needs to work on the most is his striking. And so this is a really interesting one, a classic striker versus grappler matchup. It's a bit of a step up from Crone's last opponent, Alex Caceres. But I would argue that at this juncture, Caceres and Cub are sort of at the same level. Yeah, as far as name goes, it's a bit of a step up. It's a big opportunity for Crone, and it clearly shows that they're very much behind him right now. And so I'm curious to see how he does in that fight. And it is a must-win, I would say, for Cub Swanson, who's on a bit of a losing streak these days. So that was first reported by ESPN's Brett Okamoto, and it will most likely happen October 12th in San Francisco at the new Chase Center Arena over there in the Bay, the future home of the Golden State Warriors. I say the most likely part. The date isn't the most likely part. The venue they haven't officially announced, but multiple people have told me that's where it's going to happen, and all signs appear to be pointing in that direction. You've seen fighters like Andre Fili talk about it as well. We also have the main event set for that one, even though they haven't officially announced it. Michelle Waterson against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And the following week, they'll be in Boston. Washington has been discussed. And I think I saw South Korea in late December as well. I think I saw that. The majority of the lineup is set, in my opinion, based on what I've seen. Anyhow, Phil Baroni weighing in. Let me see if I could. Okay. Phil's telling me I'm wrong. Everybody's different. She needs better diet. Cut coaching. Was undefeated. Lost to a former champ. She's at the right weight class. She's all right. Fine. Phil Baroni weighing in. Love Phil Baroni, who appears to be in great shape these days. Thank you for your insight, Phil. Okay, I think we're not going to have Julianna Pena. Is that accurate? Motherhood has changed everything. It has changed everything for us. So it sounds like we're going to get Urijah Faber first, and this is special. You recall, I should have had, not that I'm hiding from this, but I should have had the clip. Like, we should have made one of those fancy schmancy clips where it's me talking all kinds of smack, and then there I am, eating crow, saying, oh my gosh, I was wrong. And I see people rehashing, like, I'm the one who willingly offered this clip up. I'm not hiding from it. I wrote about it. Go check ESPN.com. I was wrong. But again, I want to reiterate, and I'll probably have to say this again when he joins us. I never thought that he was going to lose the fight. I never thought that he couldn't beat Ricky Simón. I didn't understand the logic behind it. So I like to try to think. Chael always gets mad at me for this because I talk about the business and, you know, the booking and all that stuff. He's like, what the hell do you know? And maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Although I would strongly argue that he's very much wrong. You know, can't be 100% all the time as far as these things. I'll be 100% as far as my reporting goes. That I'm very proud of. Big difference between being wrong with an opinion and being wrong with your reporting. Massive difference. And so in this regard, okay, my opinion was off. Clearly, it was a fine matchup. Now, I will say, I have seen people say, oh, who's Ricky Simón? Because there's a lot of fans that don't know him because he's younger, because he's not a household name. He's never been in a high-profile fight. So there are some people I feel like that aren't giving Urijah credit for this. But, hey, you walk into there, I mean, just listen to this. Fastest win in his 45-fight pro career. 45 fights. That was the fastest. The one that he came out of retirement for. Isn't that amazing? 46 seconds. Would have been nuts if it was 45 seconds in the 45-fight pro career. Incredible. Second 40-year-old to win in the octagon in 2019. First one being Damian Maia. Team Alpha Male Fighters went 4-2 on Saturday. 6 UFC wins by submission, most in UFC bantamweight history. Total UFC fight time, 3 hours and 29 minutes with 50 seconds, most in UFC bantamweight history. And now all of a sudden, as we look at Urijah Faber's stats, all of a sudden there's this back and forth going on between Urijah Faber and Henry Cejudo. And there's a history there. When Henry Cejudo left collegiate wrestling, amateur wrestling, when he won the Olympic gold medal in 2008, he actually went to Team Alpha Male. And he was there. There's footage of this. And so there's history there. And then yesterday, this actually started before. Honestly, Henry started it. Henry was the one calling him out. The back and forth. Yes, there it is. The cringe is real. Will they go in that direction right away? Man, Aljamain Sterling, Petr Yan, Joseph Benavidez, they'll be all kinds of fired up. But it's going to be interesting because now all of a sudden Urijah has all the momentum in the world. And remember, not that long ago, people were saying, oh, Urijah gets too many title shots. How dare he? Well, look at this. 2.5 years later, here he is, the California dad. And I couldn't quite help but wonder if there's like some beef there between him and Dana White, because I heard him like say that what he said on the microphone in the cage afterwards. Is there beef there? And then I saw the tweet afterwards about the California middle-aged man or whatever that was. Like, was that laced with some sort of tension? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it way too much. It just felt like there was something going on there underneath it all. Maybe I'm crazy. Should I tell you about my good friends over at Cheap Heat? Thanks, Corporate Jake. Where's the thing? I don't see it. All right. Are you on the air right now, or are you just talking to me?
Now I am.
Oh, there you are. Where's the Cheap Heat thing? I was supposed to read like some sort of Cheap Heat promo.
That's later.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Making
So what happened to Julianna?
Just could not reach her.
Could not reach her. It's been a while since we had one of these. Should we ban her from the show? We used to do that back in the day. Brendan Schaub was once banned from the show. I don't know if you know this. So was Ben Folks. Who else was banned? A couple people have been banned. See, if New York Rick was here, he would tell me right now.
Yeah, but he's not here.
Who has been banned?
He's not here.
He has been told. Okay. Let's not waste any more time. I've been talking for the last 20 minutes. Without further ado, let us say hello to the man who shocked the world on Saturday. 46-second TKO. He did it. And I never doubted him for a second. Urijah Faber.
Yeah, right.
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just chilling on the balcony.
You look great.
This is a beautiful day out in the Sac. Thank you.
So I see the way you rolled your eyes there. And I have to, because I've just been talking about it, but I have to say it to you. It's not that I thought that you can't beat this guy. I just didn't like the psychology behind the fight. But again, mea culpa, I was wrong. I shouldn't have opened my mouth. I should never doubt you. I will never doubt you. So I just want to say I'm sorry if you felt like I doubted you.
No, I just appreciate it. And I agree with you that I should get the shot with Henry Cejudo. That was a good statement that you made. So thank you for that insight. Put all those other guys to the side and give me the shot. I knew you'd be in for it, and so I appreciate your sentiment. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Urijah. You have had an amazing career, a Hall of Fame career. You have given us so many great moments, 45 pro fights, all that and more. Is it possible Saturday night was the greatest moment of your career?
I don't think so. I mean, to be honest, it's funny because you're just talking about, remember there was a time when they're saying too many title shots and this and that, but I've had a lot of big moments, winning titles, winning big fights to get into the title shots, being at home, having big wins. My retirement fight was amazing. So sentimental to me. I was near to tears in the back when they played the piece. My fight with Jens Pulver, that was a big fight. There's been a lot of great fights, and for me, there's levels to this, and I'm in a unique situation because of how long I've been in the sport and the things that I've done, etc. where guys are saying, hey, you know, you shouldn't take a fight against you being one of them. Shouldn't take a fight against a young guy like this. It's on this big fighting, win streak because, it doesn't make sense. He needs to be in massive fights, this and that. And then we had other guys like you being one of them saying, but what about you shouldn't get a title shot now because, because of this. It's like, what do you want? Do you want me to fight guys that are on big winning streaks that no one knows, or do you want me to fight guys for the title? Or like, what is the perfect Ariel Helwani, can't be a hater scenario? Give it to me.
Well, first of all, I have always been a lover when it pertains to you.
I know. I'm just messing with you. Just messing with you.
Listen, I've no. They want to give you a title shot. Like I said, there's a history there. All I was saying was, Urijah Faber at this point shouldn't be a stepping stone, and I felt like they were setting you up to be a stepping stone. And by the way, the odds makers would agree. They had you at a plus 325. So I'm not the only one.
Hey, how does that work? I've never looked at rankings or at odds. How does that work? You got to have a deeper understanding of how that works, because I have no clue. I mean,
well, like, how do they come up with the number?
Who are the odds makers? Are they like people like you and me that are sitting there being like, okay, well, they have a job to do, or
no.
I thought it fluctuates based on how many people are betting and that kind of thing. What's the inner workings of that?
No, but they actually, like, this is their job, is to set the lines. It's not like journalists.
Who's they?
The odds makers. Like, they work for casinos, they work for betting sites. So every casino or sports book or betting site, they all have different lines. They're usually in the same vicinity, but they'll go based off of initially what they think, and then as you mentioned, it will fluctuate based off of who's betting in what direction.
Yeah.
In short. By the way,
so it's humans. They're humans. The humans that probably listen to your show and take into account what you say and other people say. So it doesn't really matter, but do those guys get fired when they're wrong?
No, they don't get fired. By the way, this is a very 40-year-old dad sort of thing to do. Your thumb is on the camera, so we see like your thumb on the shot over there. Do you see that? There you go. There you go.
Good point. Good point.
No,
millennials, man. I wish I could be one.
I know, me too. Don't worry. But look, you look like one. It's unbelievable. Well, by the way, what's going on there between you and Dana White? I feel like there's like some little like digs being taken, both ways. What's happening there?
Oh, we just texted this morning. Dana's my boy. Look, this is the same with Cody. Like, when you are really, and same with me and you, when you guys are friends, and you guys have a relationship, you're allowed to talk shit. It's called breaking balls. It's busting each other up. I mean, people like Cody. I said Cody's jealous. Cody's not jealous of me. I'm a 40-year-old guy that just fought, Ricky Simone. We're always giving each other shit. That's the way we go. And Dana's my boy.
Okay.
And he did say I was old. Did he not? Did he not say I was old?
I didn't see that. Did he say that in an interview? I don't know.
I think he said that when Henry Cejudo called me out.
Oh.
He said he was going through the scenario as well. So-and-so's hurt. So-and-so's hurt. Uriah's old. And I was like, bro, let's not group in like everybody's the same age at the same time. There's different types of living and existence, and my age, I'm young. For him, he might have been old. We have different. I had all sorts of weird crap happen to me as a kid. Carob instead of chocolate, olive oil instead of butter. All these weird things that nobody wants to do. Wheatgrass juice on the daily, that kind of stuff.
And it's certainly paying off now. What was your confidence like, despite all the noise, despite stupid people like me weighing in, going into this fight 2.5 years away? How were you feeling? Were you very confident?
Yeah, I was, of course, confident. I mean, I wouldn't honestly, and I'm not sure people caught cues because it's all pretty subtle. But at the new year in January, I said this is going to be a year to compete, to mentor, and to be the best dad in the world. I said that in January. On my birthday, I said I'm going to give myself the gift of a fist fight. That was in May. I've been mentally prepared for a battle for a long time, and I've been getting myself physically prepared, aside from being in the environment. So I'm not just like some guy that thinks, okay, I'll just jump in, etc. Like, this was a premeditated thing. It was me getting myself prepared, getting having little opportunities shown to me and getting motivated, and so getting myself in shape and testing the waters and competing against phenoms in the jiu-jitsu world and jumping in and getting a little sparring in here and there and having discussions. Me and Cody actually had a long discussion about me coming back, and he's like a protective guy over me, and he'd say, man, they're not going to give you what the credit you're due, and why would you give this guy a chance, and you should be getting paid more, and he's a guy that's looking out for me. We had discussions with other teammates and coaches on the team. This was not just like a jump in type of scenario.
All right, so you get this opportunity, you get to fight in Sacramento, and you get to do it in front of your family and friends. First time as a dad. I don't think your daughter Callie was at the fight, unless I'm wrong. But I'm just wondering, did it feel different to finally fight as a father after all these years? Like, did you feel like a different person, a different guy with a different mindset?
I've never had trouble getting motivated for fights, and I always prepare the best of my ability. So it couldn't be that different. You don't become in a different world where you get a secret human, superhuman power or anything like that. But having a deeper seated of purpose in general, absolutely. Having an enjoyment that you've never really had before, as far as being somebody that has another life that you created and is looking to you, is different. But I think both scenarios, it's all about mindset. I was going through a lot of drama the year and a half prior to me retiring, and some negativity with the team that I put my heart and soul into and built, and just wasn't having as much fun in the sport. The last fight where I retired in my hometown, I really enjoyed that process and performed well. The fight where I just came back, I really enjoyed the process, had fun with it, from the walk-in to the warm-up to right before the Bruce Buffer introducing you. That stuff's really important to me. I'm like the type of guy that when I wear a shirt, it's because it feels good. It's not because other people think it's cool or because it's the cool thing. It's because of this or that. Like, I'm a feel guy, and last night, or whatever night it was, 2 nights ago, felt really good.
You have this situation where you're the guy, you're the captain of the team, you're the leader of the ship, and they're all looking to you, all these young guys like Andre Fili, and you're watching them now as you're preparing in the locker room. And for the most part, it was a pretty good night for the team. You had 4 great victories, and you have guys realizing their dreams. Are you like, there was one great shot, I think it was the Josh Emmett fight, where they showed you in the locker room celebrating. Like, did you feel like there was a momentum to the night where you're watching your guys succeed, and then, okay, now it's my turn and I have to kind of wrap this whole thing up?
Yeah, I felt that quite a bit, throughout my career. But I make a point and always hammer it home to my guys that you can't get motivated or get demotivated, feel empowerment or feel deep, less power because of somebody else's actions and their experiences. But you, of course, enjoy that energy. You love the energy. And had everybody lost in the card, I still would have gone out and had the same type of feeling and the same performance, because we're all very individual. But you got to love to see your guys do your thing. And we have such an awesome network at the team. Guys like Danny Castillo and Chris Holdreth and Joey Rodriguez and Mike Malott and Fabio Prado and the list goes on of all these contributors to the team. Then we have our alliances, like guys like Coach K at CSA, and different Felipe Bragio, who's affiliate of us, and all these guys that are contributing to the team. So knowing that we have everyone working towards the same goal and having the success is a great feeling.
How likely is this Cejudo fight next?
I mean, I would imagine it's very likely. I mean, for me, when I left the sport, I was, my fight before I retired, I was ranked number 2 in the world. Then I lost a lackluster decision to basically ankle kicks, and that put me at number 6, I believe. And that's when I left the sport, and I left on a win against Brad Pickett, who was a solid fighter in the sport who's been in the top 10 in multiple weight divisions and beat guys like Demetrius Johnson. And, I've always been that caliber fighter that can fight for a world championship, and it really comes down to matchups. Dom Cruz is a very strange guy to fight. He's very, very tough and unique. Henry Cejudo isn't as confusing, that's for sure. He's very mentally tough, which is his strongest attribute, in my opinion. He's obviously a professional, has made these massive gains in his skill set and made little tweaks throughout time. And, he's a champion of champions. I mean, Henry Cejudo, gold medalist, as young as he accomplished it, then coming in and becoming a 2-division champion. That is a dream scenario for a guy like me to go test myself. When I got into wrestling, I never had a vision of being an Olympic champion. It just wasn't something that was in my mindset. I wanted to make the varsity team. I was 13 years old. Then once I graduated college, I was one of the top 12 guys in the nation, which is exciting. And I wanted to get into fighting. This is a chance for me to win a gold medal, to win a couple of belts, and to wrap it all up.
Careful what you wish for, my corn-rolled princess. You could be the next legend to bend the knee to Triple C. Corn-roll. It's just so great. It's like, how do you not love the guy, right? Don't you have a history with him?
Love the guy.
Didn't he train at Alpha Male back in the day?
He just came in for a couple of days, and man, I love Henry's energy. That guy, first off, he doesn't care what people think. That's something that's very, very important in this world, And my parents have always said that. Don't worry about they're just this or they're jealous or they're hating or whatever. You can't worry about what other people think. Henry's being himself. He's taking it to the next level. He's accentuating what people are pointing out and saying, "Yeah, this is me. I'm kind of a goofy dude." Whatever. He's also a badass dude who knows how to work hard and accomplish a lot. So, did you see my? Can we get a reply? And you can't tell me.
The reply
Ariel,
was great.
That around the world, the first time that Henry just pitched us a softball in Russia, in China, in Japan, in the UK, Australia, America for sure. Lance Palmer in Ohio and his dad Wayne the Pain all said in unison in their different languages. As soon as you said Triple C, they all probably just turned and said, "Triple C, these nuts."
There it is.
That was a softball pitch.
It's on the screen right there. We were not going to deprive you of that. When you spoke to Dana White, did you talk about the fight?
No, I didn't.
Really? Did he bring it up?
No, he just congratulated. Dana just sent me a picture of myself with that app that makes you super old.
Yeah.
And said congrats, and I just laughed it off. And we talked about his son going to college and why he wasn't able to be here in Sacramento and how, what awesome experience it was. So there'll be a time for that discussion.
All right. How soon do you want to return?
Man, I'm not getting any younger. That's for sure. So ASAP.
Okay. So Cejudo's out for the rest of the year. That means if you want to come back ASAP, you're willing to fight in the meantime.
Not necessarily. I mean, ASAP means as soon as possible for what I want to accomplish. So, it's not like I didn't have to come back for this fight either. I just decided to do it when I wanted to. One thing I will be doing for sure is continue to improve. I have a world of knowledge in the gym. I'm going to take advantage of that. Absolutely. I'm going to be there for all my guys. And I know Cody's excited to get back in and mix it up. Man, when he came in for 2 days to work out with me, it just ups my level and ups everybody else's level. It's good to have him back in the mix. To have him back in the mix as a training partner also now that he's healed up would be great. I'm learning a lot. I've got Slava Borshev, who's a multiple-time world champ and K1 kickboxer who's moved out here, who's aspiring to fight. Been learning tricks from him and Mike Malott, and then Coach Joey and the whole staff that we have. So I'm just taking advantage of being a student and a mentor and being present. But I'm going to keep myself in great shape. You know, the dad bod wants to come back like that.
Yeah.
It used to be hard for me to gain weight. The dad bod will jump back on as soon as you give it the opportunity. So I went for a little run this morning and went to practice, watched practice. Josh Emmett was already in there practicing with Clay Guida, who's got a big fight coming up. And, you know, this is a keep the momentum kind of situation. Whatever I'm going to do on the fight side, I'm going to look for the best opportunities, and I'm not afraid to take things that people think don't make sense because, and you know, it's funny. You know, your fan Davey Lambert was pissed when you were talking about when you were talking about me and how they're setting me up to build up this Ricky Simone, and I told Davey, I said, Davey, Ariel's my boy. He's just building up the hype, so when I beat the guy, that it makes more sense.
There you go.
That's what I told him. So I stuck up for you, buddy.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I hope we're still friends. I hope this didn't ruin anything. I just want to know, bigger fight, Cejudo or Dillashaw?
I think Dillashaw's a bigger fight.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, I mean, and let me get this straight while I have the microphone, because the man with the microphone, even if he's a pathological liar, dictates the story. I never kicked that guy off our team. He sat me and Chad Mendes and other guys down and told us he was getting paid to go somewhere else, and he would still like to come in on occasion because he still had a house here. I never kicked the guy off the team. He went on his own, which is great. He was already training with Bang for a year under our umbrella and making moves back and forth. Guys leave all the time. Joseph leaves. Lance Palmer leaves. Paige Van Zandt. I mean, this is the real world, you know. It is what it is. Stop being a victim, dude. We don't feel sorry for you because you got caught cheating. We don't feel sorry for you that you got bought off to a different team. You know, that Connor called you a snake in the grass. You know, quit being a victim, dude. This is you know, and you know, he gained a lot in this time. He's got money and everything else, but you want to talk about true storyline, that's the big one.
Yeah, I agree with that, but we still have a year and a half before we can even talk about that one. So for now, it's Henry Cejudo we'll talk about. Urijah, you're the man. You know you'll always have a soft spot in my heart. First guest. Yes.
Yeah.
First guest
and
ever.
Thank you. I mean, you were the first one to say, guys, everybody else step aside. Urijah gets the shot with Henry Cejudo, and I appreciate you thinking that. Thank you, Ariel.
Everyone, if you're listening to this, step aside. The California dad is here, and I will never doubt this man, all right? So, Henry Cejudo, I hope you're rehabbing your shoulder. I hope you're cozying up with your belts and your gold medal, but it's Urijah's time to shine. I mean, the guy's never – it's about time he gets a title shot, for God's sakes. I mean, it's been what?
Exactly.
Like 10 hours since he's gotten one? It's about time. So, let's grant him that. I would love to see it. Yes.
It's been a long time.
Oh, it's so
great.
And
can we please get one of our internet sensations, the people that make all the good stuff on the internet, give me a video. We'll have a contest and we'll sell it on Alpha Male, shopalphamale.com. The shirt of Triple C seeing these old nuts swinging over him on the canvas.
Okay.
That's a challenge. We'll post them.
Someone will have it by the end of the day. That's my prediction.
Absolutely, they will. Yeah, Triple C, 3D vision, triple sing. And you can even do a nut sack on my chin. I know that's going to happen anyways. We'll do a double set of nuts. It's all good.
Thank you for doing this, Urijah. I appreciate it very much. Congrats, man. I'm really happy for you. Enjoy it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, there he is, Urijah Faber. He is back. What a victory, and I'm happy there's no hard feelings there. All right, let's move along to our next guest. We have located Julianna Pena. Is she there? Okay, we haven't located Julianna Pena. I mean, Corporate Jake, in my ear, cracking the whip, saying, you must get off at 3:45. And here I am 2 minutes late. Okay, there she is. Julianna Pena, are you there?
Hi.
Hey, Julianna. How are you? Congrats.
Good. How are you guys? Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Congratulations. First victory. So we just went Urijah, first victory as a dad, first victory as a mom. This is a first for us on the program. What does it feel like to win as a mother, to have your daughter there at your fight?
It's awesome. I feel great. I'm really proud at the fact that I was able to get my hand back in the win column. So, you know, that's how I feel.
When you took the break, when you got pregnant, was there a part of you that thought you would never return? That you would never fight again?
Never. The goal was always to fight again.
Okay. Was the goal are we making a glasses switch here? Oh.
Yeah, I don't like those.
Okay.
I don't like
We
these
did.
either.
Glass switch. What's up, Ariel?
Oh, Rick in the house. What's going on?
Yeah.
Wow, a mid-interview glasses switch. That's impressive. We've
That's
never
right.
had that before.
This is the fourth pair. I didn't like these ones either. I need my other ones back. Where are my Gucci's? They're in the truck or something.
All right. Well,
We'll get 'em.
I would
get 'em.
say for these purposes, it's fine. So you take the break, but you always thought that you were going to come back. Was it hard? Like, did you enjoy watching from afar? Did you keep up with the sport, or were you just kind of done with MMA while you were enjoying motherhood?
No, I've never been done with MMA. I've always been keeping an eye on the sport, watching the division evolve, and obviously I'm commentating every 2 weeks for Combate, so I've definitely always had my head in the game.
All right. And what about bringing your daughter with you every step of the way? The photo shoot, the weigh-ins, the post-fight show. Well, that must have been somewhat surreal for someone who's been competing for so long, just as a non-mother. Now you're there with your spawn. What was that like?
It was amazing. It was really fun, actually. I have a lot of videos. As I was coming out of the tunnel, Rick and Lewis, they kept tapping me on the shoulder and telling me that my baby was above my head. And I was so in the moment that I didn't hear them. And so my best friend got some video of my baby waving to me and screaming at me right as I was in the tunnel about to walk out. And she's yelling my name, Mama, Mama. And I didn't even hear it. I was in the zone. But it was so special because after I won, she saw me on the big screen and she kept saying my name. And she knew that I was obviously on the screen. And so when I saw her, it was just such a great moment. So proud to have my kid to be representing all the mothers out there that are, maybe questioning themselves on if they can, grind it out. And the answer is yes, you can. If I can do it, you can do it too, So it was just a very happy moment in my life, and many more to come, I'm sure.
How did you feel about the performance, especially taking the fight on 3 weeks' notice? Were you happy?
You know what? To be honest, Ariel, I think we're our own worst critics, and I'm not happy with my performance at all, actually, if I could be completely frank. I know I can do so much better. Everyone's telling me, though, you know what? Just be happy. You got the win. Take the win. That's all that matters. And, yeah, sure I did. But, when you know what you can do and you didn't show that, it's kind of disappointing. And especially if your job is to go kill somebody and you didn't kill them, you kind of feel like it's a loss, So I'm a little disappointed with my performance. Like I said, I know I can do better, but I will take into consideration that I did take the fight on 3 weeks. And, I'll just chalk it up like that. Give me a full camp and I'll do better next time. I promise you that.
Considering the layoff, why did you take such a short notice fight?
I've been in the gym since I had the baby. I haven't exactly been getting ready for a fight, but I've been in the gym. So it's not like I was, getting fat on the couch and not doing anything. I was ready to go. I was in shape, but I think, it was just the right timing, I guess. I had called them and told them that I was looking for a fight and that I wanted to take a fight, and they told me they didn't have anything for me. So when they called me up and say, hey, do you want to step in on this replacement? I said, yeah, might as well, It's better to just get it over with in 3 weeks. I also liked the time frame of it only being 3 weeks because it didn't give me as much time to chew off anybody's head for the 3 months, and get down anybody's throat, When you get a big fight camp and you have so much buildup of the fight, the pressure gets to you. And so I kind of like the fact that it was only 3 weeks. Although it was even minus 3 weeks because I fought in California, and the state of California is ridiculous to fight for. I had to get an EKG, an MRI, an MRA, a neurobrain scan, pregnancy test, blood test, a physical. I literally took 2.5 days out of my training. 3 actually, because when I showed up to an eye exam, they told me that they couldn't do it. So 3 days out of my training camp, running all over Chicago trying to get all these medicals done, definitely also played into the fact that I couldn't train as much as I wanted to, just because to fight in the state of California, you got to jump through rings of fire in order to fight there. So.
Wow. All right, so now we're 5-1 in the UFC. Only lost to Valentina Shevchenko, who's a champion at 125. Just had a win over a former champion in her own right. Where does Julianna Pena now, the mom, fit in the 135-pound division?
I'm 8-1, Ariel. Those fights
okay.
in the
You're right.
Ultimate Fighter were real fights. They were sanctioned by the
You're right.
Nevada Athletic Commission, and
You're right.
and they were real.
You're right. You're 100% right. My apologies.
It was a UFC octagon. It was a UFC octagon.
You're right.
Like, I'm not making this up.
You're right. You're right. I apologize. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just flipping you crap. I don't know. I don't know what's up for me. All I know is that the division has kind of been stagnant, and the champion has gone through a lot of girls, and she has beat other girls. You know, Germaine fought that night too, and she won impressively with that knockout. But she's already fought the champ, you know, and the champ hasn't fought me. If you look at the loss that Amanda has, it's to Kat Zingano, who was able to wrestle her down and to get her tired and to beat her up. So I think that that's the matchup stylistically that makes sense to beat Amanda. You got to make it ugly, you got to take her down, and you got to make it a dogfight. And no one has been able to do that. And I feel like I'm the fighter that, with a full camp, will be able to do that. So she already agreed to fight me when she won against Misha, and then she opted out and took the money fight against Ronda, which I don't blame her. But yeah, I think she's fought everyone else. She hasn't fought me, and so I would like to fight her.
Do you think there's a chance you get her next?
I mean, Ariel, how many times have I been calling for a title shot after every time I win, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's so annoying, too, because after every fighter always wins, they're always like, I want the belt, I want to fight for the title, you know? But literally, I've been asking for a title shot for a long time, and I've never got it. And, you know, I don't know what their plans are for me or what they see as far as my future goes, but that's what I see for my future.
Maybe the plan is now, you know, the approach should be just don't ask for the title shot and you'll get it. Maybe do a little reverse psychology. I don't know.
I think you're probably right. Maybe I shouldn't even mention fighting for the title. And
all right.
just see
Fair enough.
happens.
Well, I got to say,
they've given it to people with lesser than that, so it wouldn't be a shock.
That is true. It was great to see you back, Julianna. It was great to see you there with your daughter, and great performance, hard-fought victory. I loved everything about it. So congratulations. Enjoy it. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for taking some time out of your pool session, your celebrations over there. Oh, there she is, Isabella. How are you?
Dile hola.
Oh, she's so cute. Look at that face. Wow, that's amazing. She's a star, by the way. I see her like waving to people on she's incredible. She's something special. So enjoy it. Enjoy everything and welcome back.
Thank you so much, Ariel. Thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
No problem. There she is, Julianna Pena joining us, and her daughter, Isabella. How beautiful was that? All right, so that's Julianna's story. Now let's move along to our next guest. She is the reigning defending UFC women's flyweight champion. In fact, she's the last person and the only person to defeat Julianna Pena in the UFC. She's the great Valentina Shevchenko, and she joins us right now via the magic of Skype. Valentina, how are you?
Hello, Ariel. I'm very good, finishing my training and ready for my next fight to defend my title.
Yes, that is August 10th in Uruguay against Liz Carmouche. And by the way, thank you very much for doing this, and I'm sorry that we were a few minutes late. That is a really interesting fight because you guys have a history. When you were presented with this fight, I think people are starting to learn about the history now. Like, we didn't really know much about it. For you, how excited were you to get this opportunity to beat her?
We cannot clear the history. We cannot make change in the past that it's happened already, but we can create our new history. And of course, the last fight that we had with Liz Carmouche didn't go the way as it's supposed to go, because it wasn't a good fight. I was winning the round, so I took her down. And in the moment when I was doing a leg lock and wanted to submit her, I was on the floor and seeing blood around, and I was not even know whose blood is that. I was thinking maybe it's her blood, and we continue our grapple, our before the round was end. And when I went to my corner, I saw the doctor coming to my side, and I realized that something happened with me. And that's how I realized it was a cut. It was a cut on my eyebrow. So the doctor decided to stop the fight. I was against. I was I'm ready to fight. I want to continue. But you cannot do nothing when they decide to do it. So we have this result. in very, very back, past. Now I have new opportunity to do the fight my way, and to, of course, to defend the belt, and like to show everything that I was showing during all these years.
Have you been able to watch the fight recently? Do you have the footage?
Actually, no. At that time, it was very difficult, like to have footage of any fight, and it was fight in US, so I don't even have any pictures.
Wow.
So that time it was, it was not like now, not like, for example, you have in advance a few months, you have time to study your opponent, you know the name. That time it was, okay, Valentina, would you fight like in 1 week or 2 weeks? I said, okay, why not? And you are don't care who's your opponent, who's gonna be it, what's her style, what her technique. You just show up and fight. This is how it was back in that times. That's why I just came and fought, and it's like happened that happened. But I'm not the person that carrying like all the past like together. I did everything that I had to learn from that experience, and to become better fighter, stronger person, stronger opponent, and I continue forward. I continue my way in martial arts.
She told us a story a couple of weeks ago where she was actually scheduled to fight your sister, and then at the last minute they switched opponents and she ended up fighting you. Do you remember it going down like that as well? And if so, why?
I never heard about this.
Oh, wow.
I never, I don't know what the organizer told to her on her side, but on my side, we received like a proposal to fight only for me. Antonina at that time didn't think to go back, to come back to mixed martial arts, to MMA fights, because we was fighting in Muay Thai, and she were like, she just thinking to continue her Muay Thai career at that time, and she never was thinking to come back to mixed martial arts, because this fight I accept because the offer it came straight to me.
Okay. All right. So differing stories there, but in the end, you guys are fighting on August 10th. And I'm wondering if you are surprised that she is next for you, because even when you fought Jessica Ai, no one was really talking about Liz being next for you. She had a fight against Roxanne Modafferi, which was supposed to be this weekend. Was she who you thought might be next when you beat Jessica Ai in Chicago, or were you thinking of someone else?
I was not surprised when UFC offered Liz as like a potential opponent, because I knew it's gonna happen. I knew it's gonna happen one day.
Okay.
Because she's strong. She's continue create your successful like winning history in flyweight division, and I knew that it's day gonna come, and really it doesn't matter it's gonna be now or in a few months later. So if we have opportunity, I took it. I don't want to wait and see to and waiting for another opponent who will be ready, who won't have any issues or some things to do. I just want to fight because I'm a fighter. I'm a professional fighter, and this is my life.
Your knockout against Jessica Ai was one of the best of the year. It was incredible to watch. It was a little scary afterwards because it took her some time to get up off the mat. What were you thinking when it was taking her all that time to get up?
It's difficult to say what I was thinking in that moment. From very bottom on my mind, I knew everything's gonna be okay. Yes, she was for a long time there, but I knew that in UFC there is like so good quality of all doctors who are working there and who worked on that night, and I knew that they gonna do everything to make it like good for Jessica, and she will be okay.
So right now I feel like we're starting to finally appreciate Valentina Shevchenko. You're a champion. You've defended the title. Like even when I saw you at International Fight Week in Las Vegas on the camera, like I don't know if this makes any sense to you, but there's like a superstar aura around you right now. Like you feel like a star. You come across as a star. Do you feel different? Like, do you feel like you're like, is life different as a champion? Does it feel any different than last year when you weren't a champion?
Ariel, what I can say, I was like this all the time. Every time I was the same person. I didn't change much, but the circumstances, they are changed. Yes, of course, it's different when you are a champion. People looking up to you differently. But from my side, I can say that I am the same person. I had these all qualities all the time with me. I just was waiting the right moment to put it to show it for everyone. That's why maybe it's right timing for everything.
And maybe I'm getting a little too ahead of myself, but throughout this show, we've been talking about Amanda Nunes and what could be next for her. If I'm being honest, I feel like the most interesting fight for Amanda Nunes is a third fight against you. Do you think about that? Like when you see her fighting in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago and how close your two fights were against her, especially the last one, a split decision in Edmonton. Do you think, man, this is the fight. This is the fight that will really get me excited. Do you dream of that fight? Do you want to have that fight again at some point? Oh, did we lose her? Oh, we may have lost her. Just as we were getting to the good stuff. All right, we'll reconnect with her. But I'm being honest, like I wrote this also in the thoughts column. There's a lot of options for Amanda Nunes, especially if you consider the fact that she's a champion at 145 and at 135. Options galore at 135. Few options at 145. But tell me right now that Valentina Shevchenko versus Amanda Nunes isn't the most competitive of all the options, and that you don't think that Valentina can beat her, or at least hang with her and fight her as closely as she did in that fight in Edmonton back at UFC 215. They fought the first time at UFC 196. Valentina is one of the very best, if we're talking women's pound for pound list, one of the very best fighters in the world, and I would include her and Amanda in the discussion right now for best fighters on the planet, period. I separate the two. I don't really have a strong reason as to why I do that, but I just think that that fight would be so interesting. It would be so good. She's 0-2 against her, but the second one, if you recall, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch that second fight, the one at UFC 215. It was that darn close. It was really close. It was really good. She just texted me that she's there. We'll reconnect with her quickly, and then we'll get to Greg Hardy, our last guest of the day. And as you can see right over there, she is returning on August 10th in Uruguay, which is a pretty cool deal for Valentina Shevchenko because she has spent a lot of time in Peru, which, if my geography is somewhat accurate, I think they're close to each other. I'm pretty sure they're close to each other, right? They're close to each other. So that's cool. It's not quite her home country of Kyrgyzstan, but it's close enough. What a run it has been for her. Oh, she actually is on the... So on the UFC rankings, as much as we talk about those, they do include the women as well. I see Jessica Andrade, number 15. Shevchenko, 13. Where's Nunes? Nunes, number 5. Wow, look at that. So 3 of their 15. Pound for pound. Some interesting names on this. I think 15 is a bit of a silly number, if I'm being honest. Flyweight doesn't even have 15. It has 12. Women's featherweight has nothing. But I do feel like the flyweights are enjoying a bit of a renaissance. Anyway, Valentina is back. I do think we have her. Oh, there she is. So did you hear my last question, or do you want me to ask again? Basically, I was wondering about the Amanda Nunes fight. I feel like you versus her is the biggest and most competitive fight for Amanda. What do you think about it? Do you feel like that fight needs to happen one more time?
I think it's going to happen in the future because we still have unfinished business with her. It's like this fight, it's not depends what she wants, what I want. It's just will happen. I don't know when. I don't know when it's going to be. But because for now I'm like in my plans to defend my flyweight title, and I'm focused on to fight in my weight division. But I think in the future it's definitely it's gonna happen.
So this isn't something that you're going to actively pursue or push for right now?
Right now, everything what I'm thinking, it's about my next fight in August 10. And I'm this person who focusing on the goal, what's it right in front of me. And I'm not trying to reach like a lot of goals in the same time. I just want to do my best in what I'm doing. And like I said, I was waiting for so long when UFC will have finally the weight class that where I can feel very comfortable myself, and I don't have to struggle to fight with someone bigger, taller, heavier. And I just want to defend my belt for like as long as I can. And how I said, is this fight? It's something that it's gonna happen one day for sure. I don't know when. Maybe sooner, maybe later, but it's gonna be.
Okay. Getting to fight in Uruguay, considering the fact that you've spent a lot of time in Peru, off the top of my head, it's been a long day, but I feel like this is the closest you've fought to Peru in quite some time. Is this a little more special for you?
Of course, I had competition in 2011. It was South Muay Thai Championship in Argentina. And we was like very close to go to Uruguay and just to visit this country, but we didn't went that time because of visa issues. And this is a very good opportunity for us to go and to see this country, because when we were like living in Peru for 8 years, we were visiting like almost all countries of South America, but not Uruguay. And this is like great opportunity to see this country and the culture of, because it's very close about the culture and everything with Argentina and its gaucho culture. It's very nice. I very love it. And of course, for me, it's going to be great opportunity to see it from inside.
How close are we to seeing you fight in either Kyrgyzstan or nearby Kazakhstan? Are there any talks? Are the talks heating up at all?
I hope one day we're gonna see it, because I know if someday UFC gonna happen in Kyrgyzstan, it's gonna be a whole country will come and just to see this event, to see all like mixed martial arts stars and fighters and everything. Because how I said, in Kyrgyzstan, mixed martial arts, it's sport number one. And everyone there was like, they were doing, they are doing, or they gonna do mixed martial arts. And we have our national style, Hula 2. It's the same like mixed martial arts. It's same style of fighting. And in University of Physical Culture, anyone can go and study and receive like a degree. You receive profession in this sport. So it's fantastic. And I hope that one day I will be fighting there too.
And last quick thing, are you training for this fight in Las Vegas again?
Yes, so we start my training camp in China.
Oh, wow.
We spent there like very nice 2 weeks traveling in Shanghai, in Dalian city, and we had like cultural explore and training went very good there. And now we are came back to Las Vegas, where we are training our coach Paul Fedotov, training me and my sisters, our sparring partners from here from Las Vegas. They are helping us as well. And we have again our like crazy timing of the fights with my sister, because she's fighting literally 1 week before me in Newark, and then we go straight to Uruguay for my fight.
Why in China? Why did you start the camp in China?
First, because we traveled for UFC Performance Institute grand opening in Shanghai, and we decided like if we are traveled so long so far, we had to stay there minimum 2 weeks. And of course, it's like a very huge opportunity to explore the country, to see the culture, to see the traditions of the nation. And I very love to travel. This is why we spent there like these 2 weeks.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. August 10th, ESPN Plus, Valentina Shevchenko, Liz Carmouche 2, the rematch. 9 years in the making. Valentina, it's always great to talk to you. Good luck in training and good luck in the fight.
Thank you very much, Ariel.
All right,
Have a
we'll
good
talk
day.
to you soon. There she is, the reigning, defending UFC women's flyweight champion, one of the best fighters in the world today, regardless of gender. She is Valentina Shevchenko. All right, one more guest to go. Let's go back to the San Antonio card, one of the big fights on the card. Juan Adams going up against Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy is back, and he's kind enough to be joining us via the magic of Skype. There he is. Greg, how are you?
What's up, boss man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, and sorry for keeping you waiting. It's been a bit of a backlog today, so I appreciate your patience. And we have a special guest with us as well. Who's this?
This is Mia Hope, future champ.
All right. That is your daughter. Would you really try? Like, would you be okay with her becoming a fighter? Is that something that you would want?
Hey man, that's why I do what I do, so she can do whatever she wants in the whole entire world, man.
That is true. All right. I like it. All right. Well, big fight for you. I would argue toughest test thus far in your career. Would you agree?
You know, it's a bigger opponent. UFC tested so far. I think it's a good test. I wouldn't say the toughest so far.
Okay. He has, as I'm sure you've seen, he has taken a lot of shots at you. He's been talking about you since long before you were even in the UFC. Have you seen this stuff, and do you feel like he has crossed the line at any point? Has he made this too personal?
You know, whatever he needs to do to sell a fight on his end, man. When you're talking about peasants and children, you know, obviously I got some experience dealing with children. They act out, they lash out, so they can get what they want, man. And that's really the only way they know how to act. You know, they don't know how to act like professionals. They don't know how to act like gentlemen, and they don't know how to act like world-class fighters. And that's what I'm trying to keep my mind on. That's what I'm trying to keep my actions reflecting, and just to stay in that world. So I haven't seen or paid attention to a lot of anything he's saying, but not really worried about it though at all.
So thus far in your MMA career, no one has really tried to poke you like he has. And I'm wondering, like this week in San Antonio, you will probably be around him. You'll have a face-off and whatnot. Are you getting prepared so that you don't fight emotionally in there, right? That you just kind of go out and do whatever you have to do?
Yeah, you know, after the Alan Crowder fight, man, fighting emotionally is just out the window. You know, for me, this is something that I've been developing and kind of growing into, man. And I'm in a stage right now to where, like I said, I'm trying to be a professional fighter, man. Like I was a professional football player, and I'm sort of like finding my niche and finding my area in this field, man. And there's just no room for childish antics and you know, poking, as you say, in this fight. If you would have said something about, you know, my fight style, being able to beat me, this, that, and the other, that would have been worth addressing or something like that. But just the little barbs just shows that he's like I said, he's a rookie, he's a child. That doesn't affect me, man. I'm a superstar. I don't address things like that.
So you last fought just a few months ago. They're keeping you active. Do you like this schedule? Do you like fighting every 2-3 months?
She likes it. You like it? Everybody here likes it, man. We're getting paid. We're working hard. We're moving up, man. I'm doing what I'm enjoying, man. I'm getting the opportunity to compete, you know, and that's honestly what I really wanted to do from the beginning. Have my opportunity and my time to compete, get back into this field, and just get in and work hard, man. And kind of like the NFL schedule, you know, it's week after week after week. So I'm used to just being in the grind all the time, working hard, and just proving myself. So this is kind of along the line of exactly what I wanted, man.
So it's not quite Dallas, but it's pretty close. It's San Antonio. Getting to compete back in Texas, what does that mean for you?
It's amazing, dude. It's a great state of Texas, man. The best state of all time, man. They welcomed me in. They gave me a home. I still live here down in Dallas, man. So I would just say it's a great opportunity. You know, I'm looking for a great turnout. I'm looking for a bunch of great fans to show up, and I'm looking forward to putting on a great show for the state, man. it's looking good for me.
What about the fact that, you know, this is training camp season and you're seeing people get opportunities now, Greg, in the NFL and these other leagues? Are you starting to get that itch a little bit? Are you starting to wonder if the phone, like, do you still care about that sort of thing? Do you want to get that call?
You know what, man? Not really. It's here. It's a good season for me, man. I haven't really been paying a whole lot of attention to the football scene. It's been coming and going for me. I've been in camp, honestly, for the last 2 years. You know, I've been above that dorm 2 months at a time, back to back to back to back to back. So it hasn't been a lot of time for me to just, you know, focus on football or watching TV or anything like that, man. It's just been all advancement, you know, working on my skills, developing, shutting the TV off, shutting the game off, and honestly, Ariel, trying to change the game, man, trying to show people something that they've never seen before.
Have you officially closed the door on that career, on that chapter in your life?
Man, I'm honestly looking into retire, how to officially retire on that side. I've always wanted and always said that if I had opportunity to go back and get that yellow jacket, man, that's just something, that's a goal that I have for myself. But the way things have been going in this field, man, the way things are looking for on the boxing side, the way everything is just coming together, it's over for me, man, on that side. You know, I feel like it would be disrespectful at this point after getting such a warm welcome, well, as warm as it can get, and such a great welcome into the fight world, man. I feel like it'd just be disrespectful to go back and even teeter-totter. I'm fully committed. 3 years in the making, above American top team. Dan Limmer's giving me the opportunity, and it's all eyes on the belt, man.
Are you at peace with that? Are you okay with that? Never playing again?
Oh yeah. You know, man, listen, when it comes down to it, if you check out my fans, you check out the film, man, I was one of the most entertaining people on that field when I was on it, and they loved me. I loved them back. We had a great relationship. Spent hours and hours and hours signing autographs for these people, man. And it was, like I said, it was a give and a take, man, and it was beautiful for me. You know, the stories are going to tell you something different, but like I said, ask the real fans, ask people who were there. It was a beautiful thing, man. We created a way of life. We changed the culture in some places, and it goes down in history books. Now it's time to move on to a new chapter, you know? I'm completely at peace.
So you just mentioned boxing. What's going on there?
You know what, man? I'm looking into it, doing some work in there. Got some of the greatest coaches in the world at American Top Team, and just getting the opportunity to move back and forth through the different arts. I found a nice spot in boxing, you know, and I found starting to develop a love for it, a like for it, and a yearning to actually get in there and try it out. You know, I think with the blessing of the big man upstairs, that it's something that I would love to look into, man, and start fighting pretty soon, just to wet my feet, man. I think I could be one of the, if not the greatest fight sports heavyweight of all time. You know, not even just MMA, just the greatest combat sports heavyweight.
And just to be clear,
versatile, you know.
And just to be clear, the big man upstairs, is that God or is that Dana White getting his blessing?
It's Dana White.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. All right. Have you talked to him about this? Like, would he give you this opportunity?
You know, it's right now I'm focused on this fight. You know, I'm still under contract, and they're doing a lot in the boxing world right now. They're making some moves, so I'm just, you know, I'm waiting patiently. We've talked about it in the past. We got a great relationship, man, and he's been a great guy. So I have nothing but respect for him. So I'm gonna make my moves according to what, you know, he allows me to do, and I'm gonna take my time and be patient in that, and just finish out, devote my time to the rest of this contract, the rest of these fights, and give the fans, for one, all their money that they pay for and more, and dominating the performances, man. Because, you know, even if I do the boxing, I'm not leaving MMA, man. Like I said, it's about combat sport. If I can go into kickboxing and everything else and figure that out, I will. You know, I'm here to stay. I'm a problem, man. You've seen it before in football. There's no getting rid of me. I'm the hardest working man here, and it's not gonna stop.
So you're going into this fight with an official UFC win under your belt. The last fight in April, you were going in, you know, with that controversial DQ and all that stuff. Do you feel different? Do you feel a little more confident? You got the win out of the way. You got the W out of the way. Is the mindset a little bit different going into this one as opposed to the one back in April?
Man, I've had so much experience in just competition that it's not a day-to-day thing. It's not a game-to-game thing for me. It's honestly a belief and respect in my ability and in my coaches. You know, And I have a high respect for my coaches these days, man, just from the work they put in and the time they give me. And I have a high belief, or a very, very, very strong belief in my ability these days. I've been working hard. I put in all the work, and like they say, man, it's all going to show, and it has been showing. It's basically time to show that it's not a fluke again, you know, and it's my time to step up, and that's all I've really been concerned about and thinking about. So it's never really crossed my mind, you know, those last couple of fights, the DQs or any of that, man. Wins and losses, you know, part of being Boston, as my man Meek say.
I understand you were in Las Vegas at the PI. Was that your first time there, and how long were you there for?
It was my first time there as an official UFC fighter, so that was kind of cool. I got to work in the facility and get some rounds in the ring, just move around the facility and kind of enjoy it as a fighter this time. And it was amazing for me, man. It's a blessing to just be back in that world to where, you know, it's a place devoted for an athlete to hone their skills. It's a beautiful thing. And I think I was there for 3 days. You know, I took some time to hone in my boxing skills at Mayweather Gym, and then I went there for the last 2 days at the PI and just kind of toned it up with my coach, Dean Thomas, and just kind of making sure everything's just well-rounded and keeping everything toned.
Did you see Floyd when you were at his gym?
I did not see Floyd. Floyd was the only one I didn't see. I saw the other Mayweathers and a whole bunch of champions, man. I got to kind of just be in the way of life of fighting and see how champions conduct themselves. And that's been a big thing for me, man, just surrounding myself with champions, surrounding myself with great fighters and people just to understand and take in how this game works, you know, because at the end of the day, man, as much as I say I want to be the greatest, I am the greatest, I'm still a rookie, you know, and there's a level of humility that I got to approach this game with. And I think that comes with being around champions and being around great people. So
I think I saw a photo with you and Floyd Sr., right? Did you work with him a little bit?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I work with Jeff Mayweather on my boxing. We got to hang out with Floyd and talk to him a little bit and watch him work and stuff like that. He had a bunch of guys in there working, man. It's a packed gym. The boys are out there working hard. So kind of get in where I fit in.
And so now that we're a few fights into the run, and of course, like the debut got all kinds of buzz, and now here you're just like another guy on the roster. Do you feel like you've been accepted by the UFC fans? Do you feel like you've been accepted by the MMA community? It doesn't, you know, you fighting doesn't garner the same kind of talk that the debut did back in January, and that's probably a good thing for you and the team. Do you feel like you've been welcomed to the sport and there's no issues anymore?
Do you welcome me, my man?
Hey, man, I'm all good. I'm all good. Listen, I will reiterate. I was just talking about the placement on that card. I've never had a problem with you doing MMA or following your dreams. I've never said anything about any of that. I just had an issue with the placement on the card with Rachel. We don't have to bring up all that all over again. I'm just talking, unless you want to.
Well, that's all I need, man.
Oh,
That's
just
all I
me?
need, you know,
You only need me?
No, good people like you, man.
Oh, thank you.
As long as the good people of the sport welcome me in and understand that I'm here to work, that I have earned it, and that I will continue to earn it, man. That's all I need. There's always going to be naysayers, man, but you know, as it dies down, I'm starting to get the respect as a fighter that I feel like I wanted, you know. And that's like that's what means the most to me, man. I didn't come into this sport to make people fall back in love with me and change their minds and this, that, and the other. I came here to prove a point. I came here to work. I came here to be the champ. I came here to be the best, man. And the more that I persuade and the more that I get people on my side to believe that and show them the truth and show them the proof in that pudding, the better I'll feel, man. So I'm feeling pretty good right now, man. I think it's going to be a whole lot of cheers after I knock this guy out.
Okay. Have you, and just last thing, like when's the last time you felt this way about an opponent? Because he's talked about your past and because he's made this personal, did you feel some kind of different way about this guy?
Don't ever get it twisted, buddy. We feel this way about every opponent.
Okay.
And think about this, man. Anybody, DQ or not, that stepped in that ring has gotten knocked out, man. It's just my way of life. It's my style. We're going to put them to sleep one way or the other. And if we don't, I'm going back to the drawing board because something went wrong. I have no malice in my heart for anybody, man. You know, in my journey to become a better person and a better fighter, man, I've had to put a lot of just hate in my heart away, man. Put a lot of the feelings and emotions away and, you know, change my perspective on things. And that new perspective, man, like I just don't have a lot of hate for people. You know, I do have a love for disconnecting people from their consciousness. And that's what's going to happen to anybody that steps in the ring with you, man, whether it's the champ currently or whether it's a man with 1 or 2 fights or somebody that's talking trash or somebody that's saying nothing. You know, everybody's on the hit list. You signed that contract, you approved it. So take your punishment.
I wish you the best, Greg. Looking forward to it on Saturday on ESPN Plus. Big fight, Greg Hardy, Juan Adams. Big test for Greg Hardy. Big test for Juan Adams as well. Thank you very much for doing this. Good luck to you.
Man, thank you for having me, brother. It was a pleasure.
All right, there he is, Greg Hardy, the now former football player, just, I guess, announced his retirement from the sport. There you have it. Competing again on Saturday. Leon Edwards versus Rafael dos Anjos is the main event. I'm waiting for my music, Corporate Jake. He's cracking the whip on me here. Where's my music? There, I thought you were just going to play it. Quick close, he said. All caps. He wrote all caps, quick close. Quick, like I don't have places to go. Like I don't have people to see around here. Quick close. Doesn't play my music. Where's my music? Oh, there it is. Oh, you gotta love it. Well, it's been a fun day, my friends. A real eclectic mix of characters on today's program, right? How about Andre Fili? That was great stuff. Wow. And how about the fact that in the first hour we had 2 garbage trucks make an appearance? That was fun in its own right. Anyhow, hope everyone enjoyed. Hope you learned something today on the program. And if you missed anything, of course, as always, YouTube, Twitter, the app, Google, all those places and more. Thank you very much to Andre Fili. Congrats to him on the big win. Thank you very much to Ryan Hall. Congrats to him on the big win. Good luck to Alex Hernandez this Saturday. Big fight for him. Thank you very much to Scott Coker. Appreciate all the breaking news. All the best to Tito Ortiz as he begins his training camp. Thank you very much to Germaine de Randamie, and congrats to her as well. Thank you to Julianna Pena. Congrats to her. Congrats to Uriah Faber. Sorry I doubted you. All the best to Valentina Shevchenko, and all the best to Greg Hardy. Back next week, same time and place. Till I say peace. I'm out of here.